anybody in the audience that is, should be in circuit court, that's not going to be in this room, need to be across the street. Call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Richard Peters.
Here.
Keith Ritchie.
Present.
Mark Todd. Nancy Brown. Here. Joel Street.
Here.
Richard Winters.
Here.
Ronnie Trivet.
Here.
Harry Seas.
Here.
Charles Montana.
Present.
Elsie Tester.
Here.
Steve Grant.
Present.
Tom Bowers.
Here.
Dwayne Blankenship. Present. Charlie Davis. Dickie Renfro.
Present.
Ken Arden.
Here.
Steve Chambers.
Here.
John Lewis.
Here.
Sonia Fuller. Present. Russell Kite.
Here.
Scott Sands.
Here.
Bill Armstrong.
Here.
Dan Hicks.
Present.
Robert Goff.
Here.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
a couple items. Had several complaints from citizens in the audience not being able to pick up on all the conversation that's going on the legislative floor. We have repaired at least 6 or replaced 6 mics. So I would encourage the commissioners to please try to utilize those mics when you're making statements. The second item, Mr. Chairman, I would respectfully request that we amend the agenda going forward. Public comments, which is currently now item 16, I would request that that be moved up to just directly below the mayor's report and make that item 9. And that's in consideration of the lengthy amount of legislation that's coming before this body today.
Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Chairman, I have done I get out in my community and I talk to my people. And a lot of these old people, especially 2 of them, a month ago, one of them wanted to come down here and put in a good word for the park we finally can handle. But he said he could not come down here and sit. It's called medical problem. You know, sit all day, maybe 4 or 5 hours, get to speak on something that he thought it was important to him. And I had another guy tell me that he'd like to come in here and speak about the jail and stuff. But he didn't want to come in here neither and have to set this along on public comment. And I think sometimes it's I don't know how to say it, a grudge maybe. Nobody don't want people to speak. But I think we ought to see the citizens that they want to come in and speak. And some of them, like I say, some of them have to go to the bathroom and different things. They just can't sit down here that long to be able to speak to our commission and that's it. So I'm going to make another motion that we move this up. The mayor's report, from now on, we'll be seeing the citizens can come down here and speak if they want to. And I put in for a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lewis, second by Mr. Brown, to amend the agenda to move the public comments up to number 9. Anyway, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Point of order.
Mr. Foncamp.
No discussion was allowed.
Very well. We'd like to discuss this.
If there ever was a time when the public needs to speak out, it's concerning the synthetic drug situation. And they're going to be allowed to speak out about it until the vote is already over. And that's not a democracy. That's not what this country is founded on. That's not why several of these people, several of us, have served in the military, to defend the freedoms that we should have under the Constitution. We don't have it here because we're not allowed to speak about issues before the vote. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Chairman, I'd like to address that also. I don't have a problem with hearing from the public. I would like to hear from the public. But I've had some people come down here to want to hear the business, and it's after lunch and they have to come back. Because we hear about the public early in the morning and they take so much time. If we want to limit it, if we want to talk about the agenda, I don't have a problem with them speaking early.
discussion?
Mr. Bowers, I don't have a problem with the public speaking early, as long as it's something that pertains to the agenda. If it's something pertaining especially to this synthetic drugs, I have no problem with it. What I do have a problem with is a lot of times the public wants to get up and I want to talk about things that are relevant to what's on the agenda when it should be going to a meeting to address a committee about this. But if it's something pertaining to what we're going to vote on today, pertaining to the agenda, synthetic drugs, then I have no problem with it. Like I say, I do have a problem with somebody that just wants to get up and criticize and tear down, and that makes no point. So I do have a problem with that.
Mr. Ricky?
Mr. Lawrence, you said what I want to say.
Very well. Now, 2 points. One, Mr. Lewis's comment about somebody won't come down here and speak about the park. So they came here, wait to speak about the park, they came to the wrong place, they should have gone to the school board. Because that's their thing, not ours. Synthetic drugs, I really can't visualize anybody coming in here and speaking for the legalization of synthetic drugs. So that's a non-issue as far as that goes. But we have a motion and a second on the floor.
Question. On the motion.
Thank you, Mr.
Would you repeat the motion again, Ms. Booth?
The public comments will be moved to from 16 to 9.
You understand that, Mr. Trick?
Sir.
Did you hear what she had to say? Okay, thank you. Call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Buford Peters. Steve Ritchie.
No.
Lawrence Hodge. Nancy Brown. Yes. Joel Street.
No.
Richard Winters.
No.
Ronnie Crivitt. Mary Sis.
No.
Charles Montana.
Yes.
Elsie Tester.
No.
Steve Moran.
No.
Ron Bowers.
No.
Joanne Blankenship. No. Charlie Davis. Dickie Renfro.
Aye.
Ian Arden.
No.
Steve Chambers.
No.
John Lewis.
Yes.
Sonia Coler. No. Russell Cott.
No.
Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. Pat Hicks.
Aye.
Robert Goff.
Aye.
Nine ayes, 13 noes.
Motion failed, 9 ayes, 13 noes. Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Chairman, I want to say that, everybody is entitled to their vote. Now, you need to vote against John Lewis on this, and vote against the public on it, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Now we'll have our opening prayer by L.C. Tech.
Father, we thank you for this day, for your goodness and your mercy. Father, we ask you for your divine help and guidance as we deal with these issues this day. Lord, we thank you. We know, Lord, that we take time. I pray that we take time to pause each day and reflect on what you have given us, the sacrifice that's made for us. Lord, we just ask in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
We'll have a pledge of allegiance by Richard Wayne.
Please face the pillars. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is acceptance of the minutes from the previous meeting.
Then, moderator, I make a motion to accept.
Motion by Mr. Lewis, second by Mr. Arnold to accept the minutes in discussion. Mr. Bobcat. See no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Carry. I'd like to recognize the elected and appointed officials and their guests that are in attendance today. Can you stand up, please? Thank y'all for your service. And right now, if there's no objection, Mr. Tom Anderson has a very important appointment to be at that may have big dividends for the county. So if it would be all right with y'all, I'd like for him to go ahead and give his report now so we can go to this meeting. Do I have a motion on that? Motion by Mr. Cowler, second by Mr. Loring. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? No. Let the record reflect that we have one no vote for Mr. Lewis. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. I know you guys have a very long meeting today, so I'm going to be as brief as I can. First off, there's a lot of questions about the old inland container building. Of course, you can see there's been quite a bit of work done on the outside. Of course, there's also quite a bit going on the inside. I'm working pretty close with the city on this one. We are trying to get a sewer line moved that transects several of the parcels next to the building. However, there are some other parcels that are going to be developed, and hopefully we're going to try some retail into those outlying parcels. So that's something that I'm working with the city on, and we should have some announcements coming in the next couple of months of what may be taking place there. Also, I don't like using this word because it's kind of a buzzword, but everybody keeps hearing about reshoring. There is quite a bit of activity where there's a lot of companies that do business in the United States, but they're based in Europe. A lot of them are in Western Europe, but what they're wanting to do is move closer to their markets. So right now, through the state of Tennessee and Tennessee Valley Authority, we're getting quite a bit of requests for information. They're looking for industrial sites that are ready to go. So that kind of leads into some of the things that we've been talking about for several months, some of the things that Mayor Humphrey has brought up. We are partnering with some communities that surround us. We have identified some parcels that we are hopefully going to be able to start to develop. I'm working with some of the regional economic developers to come up with some development costs so we'll know what we're going to bring back to the county. But right now, the site that we're looking at, it will be in close proximity to Interstate 26, which then gives you a straight shot down to the Charleston port and some other things. We've got some intermodal, rail access in both Irwin and the Johnson City. So we're going to have a very marketable site. There's been talk about a possible spec building, but right now, if we get a certified pad-ready site to go, that will be probably one of the few in Northeast Tennessee that will have the market. So that's something that we hope that will bear fruit fairly quickly. But I'll be bringing that back up very soon. Of course, the big thing, Snap-on tools, everybody's seen the dirt getting moved around. That was, of course, something that last spring I talked about, referred to it as Project Quest. Since they were looking at other locations, we had to give it the project name. But in January, when I met with some of the Snap-on leadership, and then their corporate office gave the go-ahead for us to start putting local incentives together. At that time, we had to meet with engineers, contractors, of course, the Snap-on people, and try to figure out what was it that they're going to have to make them choose Carter County. Once we got kind of a fairly good idea of what they were looking for, that's when we had to bring all of our local partners together. The Alliance for Business and Training, the State of Tennessee's Economic and Community Development Department, TDEC, the local governments, meaning the mayor's office, the city mayor's office. Then we also had to go to Nashville for several answers. Well, this thing, from when it looked like we were going to be able to put the pieces together, of course, I don't want to leave the city of Elizabethton out there, obviously, at the table also. And then also the county planning department, not just the city planning department, the county planning department, Chris Schubert was helpful. So once we got all these people together, and we're trying to herd chickens and get them all going the same way, from the day that Snap-on Tools told us, their corporate office said, go, 32 days later is when they started pushing dirt. This is kind of unheard of in this area. I mean, the way that we work together, both locally, city, county, and the state, and like I said, the Alliance for Business and Training, we put fast-track infrastructure grants together, we put training dollars together, we put incumbent training dollars together. Basically, we put a quick enough incentive package to where the investment of over $23 million is coming to Carter County. And of course, jobs, which is what we were supposed to be doing, increasing the asset base and creating jobs. So that was something that, again, if we didn't fire on all cylinders, it definitely wouldn't have happened. And it's a very good project too, so the stars lined up, and that's something that we hope will happen again. But right now, the way the world is looking at us, the quicker you can get from spending money to making money is how you win the projects. And that's kind of leads back into the reshoring and why we need that Pat-ready site. Also, Red Energy, that project is in the middle of third-party testing right now. They're going through 48-hour stress tests to make sure that the equipment can hold up under extraordinary circumstances. So far, the testing has been successful. And of course, it's the people that are cutting the check to buy the technology are the ones that are doing this testing, or hiring another engineering firm to do the testing. It's all coming out right now. They're crunching the numbers. Meanwhile, I have been meeting with our regional partners, meaning the other counties that are putting the feedstock agreements together. I've met with 4 of the counties so far. Everything is positive. Each of the counties are drafting their own feedstock agreements, just like our attorney is working with ours. Once we hit that 300 tons a day feedstock, in this case it's going to be tires and probably wood chips, or just municipal waste, then we're looking to have the capital expended, and then it would be about 1.5 years before the equipment will be set. They have one location that they are looking at very closely. If for some reason that falls through, they're still looking in Carter County. But anyway, we're hoping to have an announcement this summer. So we're just going to keep our fingers crossed, make sure everything hits. They are not asking for anything out of the ordinary as far as local incentives. Most of the incentives will come from the state. The zoning, everything's already in place. There will not be environmental issues. It's a zero emission type setup. It's a closed loop system, and there's no thermal burn, so there's no atmospheric issue. And EPA would be covering that up fairly closely anyway. And then lastly, this was Friday afternoon. It looks like we have reached out, and this is something that I know the mayor brought up before also, and Carter County tomorrow has been working to try to get someone to look at our community to have a higher level hotel than what we have here right now, something that we can put some of the guests that we're inviting to come stay with us. We made a pretty strong case, and it looks like we know at least one developer is going to be coming and possibly 2 others. So that we'll be hosting them for a visit and letting them look at our community and see some of the numbers that we're talking about. So other than that, we do have several other projects going on. I met with the engineers for the Roan Mountain Sewer Project. They've got their numbers together. I will hear something later this month, and then we will bring the local group back together, the technical committee back together, and we can hopefully get that project picked up and started again. Right now, there is some funding through the federal government that would actually tie into this, so we're hoping to be able to capitalize on that. But other than that, we do have some other industries that are expanding. We'll be making some of those announcements, and those are internal expansions, not build-outs, but there's several jobs that are going to be created over the summer, so we're looking forward to that. So, any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I want Tennessee, these big companies, is looking for a place to go. Everybody's up for jobs.
Yes.
Now, if we had a big factory that was wanting to come to Tennessee, Carter County, do we have a piece of land that is already ready that they can put on that?
No, sir.
We don't have-
No, that's why we're working right now to get that done. That's
How long does it take to get to buy and get the piece of land ready for industry?
It could take several months. It depends on some of the development costs. It depends on, well, one of the sites that we looked at, we found out the archaeological was going to kill us, basically, as far as making it competitive cost-wise. So we have actually found another parcel that has infrastructure very close by. The soil's already been disturbed. We already have phase 1s on it, but what we'll have to do is core samples and things like that to make sure it can withstand, a large building being put on it.
Well, don't all these parcels of land have to be located inside the city where they have service, stuff like that?
They will be served by, one of them is not in the city, but it is served by Elizabeth Electric, but it also has Johnson City Water, Johnson City Sewer, fiber optics are already on site. It has natural gas on site and a 16-inch water line running out there, so we won't have any issues at all.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you heard anything from the Over Mountain Men headquarters? Have they selected a site?
No, they selected that last year, went to North Carolina. We were a very good location, but, and what that was, when they say a headquarters, basically a consolidation of where all their trucks and things like that. It wasn't going to be like a welcome center type facility. Now, Sycamore Shoulders is waiting for some money for their museum, which right now is, I think, in committee in Nashville. But of course, that would be an excellent location for a museum, welcome center type facility. So that's something that we will be working with them, in the future. But no, I went to North Carolina. Yes, sir.
Basically, how many cops will there be in San Juan? The increase?
In the next 3 years, it'll be up to 77.
Right.
And they've already started hiring, by the way. They've probably hired about 20 some odd people so far.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, since you're going to have to leave, there's another item that I think we need your input on while you're here.
Yes.
In each of your packets, there is a portion of a survey and profile of county road that was constructed per the provisions of the purchase agreement between Carter County and Heritage Family Management for a 1.2 acre tract of land that closed on December 11, 2009. The actual dollar amount of the transaction is $12,070 and is recorded in deed book 46, page 589. The construction of the road resulted in a tract of land approximately 0.391 acres in size being separated from the workforce development property that's owned by the county. And with the subdivision, the smaller tract of land has little to no value to the county. It's out there on its own. The actual physical size and shape restrictions render it with very little value, not buildable as a commercial site. It appears that the best and only use this time would be to the adjoining property owner, Mr. Kim Richardson. Mr. Richardson has tendered an offer to Mr. Anderson for the purchase of that property. So I think we need to review that today, and I think after discussions there would probably a motion to make that sale would be in order. I do have a copy of larger map, Tom, if you want to give them a little better idea as to overall situation in the park.
Okay, this, what the mayor was talking about, what ended up being created was a very odd-shaped lot. I think it has about 80-something feet of road frontage, but it's got a water line that's feeding a fire hydrant, and then farther on into the industrial park. But it adjoins, it's between the Workforce Development Complex and of course you have Kim Richardson, and you have Star Building Systems or NCI. So this land, what they need it for is to put in a fenced-in area for the daycare center to one of the people that Kim Richardson's leasing to. But there's literally no value to that property, and it's something that we've had to maintain. And it's just, like I said, it's almost like a little triangle towards the back of his building. So there really is no good use. You would not be able to build on it. We couldn't put a parking lot on it, and it has nothing to do with industrial access. So I would recommend, again, at least let him have that parcel, because then, of course, they will be hiring a couple people for the daycare. And it does not violate any of the covenants or rules that we have with the park and its proximity. So I didn't know if you had any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. I believe the correct procedure would be to refer this matter to the building and grounds for review and to report back to the full committee. Would I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tribbett, second by Mr. Longcamp. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I think, I'm not out of order,
You're right.
since Mr. Anderson is here, we have an important issue for the court today on the lease agreement, on the start construction. Could we move that and discuss this now while he's here to answer questions about this? And also, Mr. Byers has looked this over and give us recommendations.
Yeah, I believe I know what you're talking about, and I believe that would be in order.
I've got a question on that, sir. What is this land over? What is this land?
It's the lease agreement between the county and Workforce Development for that property up at the Great Lakes Development.
Well, it says West Tennessee, private industry. Is that what it is?
That's what that is.
Yes, sir. We have, the Private Industry Council is the one that the contract is doing, that the county is doing business with. We do business as the Workforce Development Complex. Now, the Private Industry Council is a 501c3 charitable organization. Of course, we maintain that, but we do business as the Workforce Development Complex.
Are they local people here?
I'm sorry?
Is this private industry council? Is it private people?
It's now part of Carter County tomorrow. The Private Industry Council, as it were, is no longer. We kept the name with the 501c3, and then we do business as a Workforce Development Complex. I mean, we still carry out the same mission with the Private Industry Council, which is workforce development and, working with the schools and everything. I mean, the whole, nothing's changing as far as the mission.
Who's in this property now?
We are Private Industry Council, Workforce Development Complex, Carter County tomorrow.
All the same people?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, we've discussed this. What they want to do is get a lease where they can put elevators in there, open it up to more northeast state, more classrooms and everything. It's a win-win situation. So at this time, I'm going to make a motion to approve. I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Tribbett, second by Mr. Lawrence to approve this lease agreement. I want to ask Attorney Bowers about one, we've talked about this, about one clause in your movie number 22.
Yeah, and I spoke with Tom, and I talked to Sam before, who Drew Bliss on their behalf as well. This agreement itself is a very fair agreement between a quasi-government agency and the government. The only thing I would actually potentially amend in subsection 22, which is five additional year lease periods. Legally, it's fine. Your initial lease for 17 years. I understand that you need at least 15 just to recoup the money that you're putting on our building. So I understand. Well, at least I think it's most appropriate. But I would feel before you do the five-year extensions that we have some language in it we can review the rental rate at that point. That's 17 years from now. It's just really hard to know what the rental rate may be, what may or may not be a fair agreement at that point. I certainly don't think you should take away the lease extensions. I just think the cash back opportunity to at least review the rental rate and make sure it's something still livable at that point. That would be my only advice to you. I think it's a fair agreement. I think it's a good agreement. Certainly, I think the investment could then warrants the agreement. I just think that the county, it's just hard to project what the situation will be 17 years from now. It's hard to project 17 months from now sometimes. And that's a long way out. Now, Tom and I spoke with that. I think he understood my concern.
And as we have no problem changing the language wherever we
Did
look.
did I change my motion to lease it, or have it back every 5 years. If we do it that way, so they can get their loan, put the elevator and stuff in.
I would leave the initial 17-year term alone,
Okay.
unless we want this sort of buyout option, because they're investing, kind of investing.
Yeah, I
They're
know.
going to this, and I think that's fair. I just think that all we need is come in, that when we start doing these options, the county reserves the right to review the rental rate at that point.
Yeah, right.
Not 5 years, but 17 years. Then those additional, that would lock us in for 52 years, which is quite a long time, I think. And as people say, he agreed, as long as it's over 15, I think he agreed with 15, they would agree to their investment. And I'm not throwing a money, I think it's a great agreement. I just think there's a little bit of safe language there for the county. At the end of that initial 17-year period, we have the right to at least renegotiate the rental rate. It may not be appropriate at the time, this may be a great rate. It's hard to guess that from years now what would be a good rate and fair rate and what won't be. That's my only concern.
Mr. Trivett, would you be willing to amend your motion
I would
to
accept that, yes.
accept the 17 years with options
Right.
to be discussed at that time?
Question on the motion.
Call roll for that, Where?
Jeffrey Peters,
Aye.
Steve Ritchie,
Aye.
Lars Holly, Nancy Brown, Joel Street, Richard Winters, Ronnie Crivitt,
Aye.
Harry Seas,
Aye.
Charles Von
Aye.
Elsie Testor,
Aye.
Steve Grant,
Aye.
Ron Bowers,
Aye.
Joanne Blankenship,
Aye.
Charlie Bailey, Dickie Ringgrove,
Aye.
Ken Arden,
Aye.
Steve Chambers,
Aye.
John Lewis,
No.
Sonia Coler, Russell Cott,
Aye.
Scott Sands, Bill Armstrong, Pat Hicks,
Aye.
Robert Goff,
Aye.
21 ayes, 1 no. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Next, we'll have presentations by the mayor.
For whatever reason, Coach Bayless wasn't able to make it today. But when I first started discussions with him about this proclamation, he said that there were, upon receipt of, there would be at least 3 people that he'd like to come up front with it. So in his absence, and not had any recent conversation, I'll ask those 3 people to come up now. Mr. Russell Kite, Sonia Culler, and Mr. Renfro. Okay.
Mr. It says,
Chairman, I understand Mr. Bayless is probably on his way up here now.
Oh, is he?
If you'd like to maybe do the other presentation.
I'd be glad to do that. Sorry, I wasn't aware of that, so just enough. Bill. Keith Hart's professional career started July 1, 1971 in Johnson County as an agricultural extension agent, working with farmers and 4-H youth development. He began working in Carter County in November 1975, where he has served as county director and agricultural agent, serving local farmers, producers, and homeowners. Through the years, he has impacted the lives of countless youth through his strong commitment as a 4-H forestry and crop judging coach. I know this firsthand, for his patience, persistence, and determination is what paved the way for me to receive the highest individual score in 1977 at the state crop judging competition. Couldn't have done it without him. Since that time, many of his teams have ranked first at the national level. Keith's expertise is working with local producers, providing them with research-based information that enhances horticulture and plant production here in Carter County. Beef production, insect, lawn and garden, pesticide management, and forage information are only a few of the questions he receives and responds to on a daily basis at the Extension office. He is truly a tremendous asset to this county. At this time, help me extend a heartfelt welcome to Keith Hart and issue congratulations to him for achieving a milestone of 40 years service with the University of Tennessee Extension Office and the citizens of Carter County. So, here it is. Ken, goes along with it. Is there anything you'd like?
I'd like to say that it's been an honor and a privilege to work in Carter County. I really appreciate the folks in Johnson County for letting me start an extension, because as I came out of UT, it didn't take me long to learn that I didn't know much about anything practical in this world. I've been raised in an ivory tower, very different from the practical world of what people deal with on a daily basis. Leon's going to thank Camille next. And I want to introduce Beth Wolf. Beside Camille, she's Family and Consumer Sciences. Some of you have met Beth, some of you haven't. We are honored to have a really good group of people that work for Carter County, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
It didn't take him long to come out of that ivory tower and started running up down these roads and hollers, especially in the Humphrey Hall. He made so many trips to help me out. So I appreciate it, really. Camille Jesse started her career in 1981 working with the expanded food and nutrition education program within the schools. She has worked with 4-H, teaching life skills to 5th through 12th graders. Some of these skills include public speaking, bread baking, citizenship, service learning, money management, wildlife, and consumer decision making. A great number of our children, through Camille's direction and guidance, have made us proud by representing our community and receiving top judging team honors at both the state and national level as well. 4-H is a family affair which includes the parent-child relationship and the extended family of community and state. This means that not only are the 4-Hers involved, but also parents, volunteers, community, and donors. Those of you here today that were in 4-H can attest that these skills last a lifetime. The positive 4-H experiences are extremely valuable to the youth of this county. This is critical, especially during these challenging times for in our youth lies our future. Let us welcome Camille Jesse and extend our congratulations for her 30 years of dedicated service to the
Thank you for all your support. We have wonderful 4-Hers here in Carter County. Thanks.
So the coach is on his way. We'll continue on with the business. Please, as the chair. During the October 2011 meeting of the County Commission, I made you aware of the Secure Rural Schools Act of 1908, which provides assistance to state and rural communities affected by the exchange of timber into federal lands. Since its enactment, 25% of the revenues derived from the U.S. Forest Service initiative have been paid to states and counties in which national forest lands are located. The Secure Rural Schools and Community Self-Determination Act of 2000 outlines specific provisions for those counties electing to take advantage of the secure rural payments. The initial 80 to 85% of the payment falls under Title I of the program and are to be used specifically for roads and schools. All counties whose share of the funds is greater than $100,000 annually is required to allocate 15 to 20% of its share to Title II, Title III, or a combination of the two. Title II programs are for the improvement and maintenance of existing infrastructure, for the enhancement of forest ecosystems, as well as restoring and improving air quality. Title III projects are for the development of wildlife protection plans and/or reimbursement for county emergency services performed on federal lands. In the event the 15 to 20% allocations for Title II and Title III projects are not designated by counties and programs developed within the guidelines, these funds must be returned to the Treasury. For the first time in 2010 and again in 2011, I designated 15% of these funds to be applied toward Title II programs. The combination of these funds for the 2-year period equated to approximately $53,000. Working with Don Palmer of the Forest Service, Jack Perkins put together a paving project which scope includes resurfacing approximately 3/4 mile along Dennis Cove Road, addressing those sections that are in critical need of repair. On September 2011, Don Palmer and I submitted a formal request for the funding to the Cherokee National Forest Secure Rural Schools Resources Advisory Committee, at which time the committee approved the proposed project. On March 7th, Don met with Jack and me to advise the funds had been allocated and to secure signatures on the cooperative agreement between the county and the USDA Forest Service. The total amount of the project is $89,904, of which $53,140.83 comes from Title II contributions, $37.50 federal agency contributions, and $33,000 will be provided by the county. This funding comes available at a time of year, a great time of year. I am certain that work will begin as soon as weather permit and as Jack's schedule will allow. Ingrid Deloach will be coordinating all reimbursements to the county through the Forest Service. Administrative contact Joanne McGee. It's extremely important to note that over the past 10 years, had Carter County taken advantage of this program, more than $250,000 would have stayed here in the county and not been returned to the federal treasury. Coach, we've been waiting on you.
That's a sweet thing.
Some things never change. If you would, come up here.
Okay. I want to be good and go.
We don't want you to go back to sleep. You would just stay right. We're here to congratulate you today for all your achievements. So if you can bear with me, we'll...
Old age.
I'm I'm not discriminating.
Okay.
I'll let that go on the record. Okay. Proclamation honoring Charlie Bayless. Whereas Charlie Bayless was born October the 1st, 1923 in Washington County, Tennessee. Long time ago.
Long time ago, sure was.
Today, he has since traveled down many roads and enjoyed countless memorable journeys during the span of his 88-plus years on this earth. Whereas Charlie Bayless, as a student at Happy Valley High School, proved that he was an exceptional athlete, being lettered 4 years in basketball, 3 years in football, and 1 in baseball. Whereas, after high school graduation, Charlie Bayless proudly served his country during World War II as part of the 3rd Army in England, Belgium, and Germany. One of his many assignments was guarding high-ranking German officials or officers at Nuremberg prison, where they were held waiting trial for war crimes. Whereas, in January 1946, Staff Sergeant Bayless returned home from the war and married Jane Sisk. Whereas, Charlie Bayless continued his education in Milligan and then transferred to East Tennessee State College, where he played 2 seasons for the Bucks. Whereas, after graduating Happy Valley High School in June 1950, Charlie Bayless was appointed assistant coach under Carl Gooch. In 1952, Charlie moved to Jonesboro to serve as head coach. However, he returned to Happy Valley and in 1953 was appointed head coach. To date, Charlie has continuously and faithfully served in that role. Whereas Charlie Bayless is the only coach to ever win the Watauga Conference in all sports: baseball, basketball, football, track, and golf. Whereas Charlie Bayless's basketball teams have won 13 conference championships, 10 district titles, 3 regional championships, and advanced to the state tournament 4 times, winning the Class A state tournament in 1974. Whereas Charlie Bayless has logged 964 victories, ranking his performance 3rd overall in the state and 1st in games coached. Whereas in 1961, the Happy Valley High School Gymnasium was named in his honor. Whereas in 1989, Charlie Bayless was inducted to the East Tennessee Hall of Fame, 1993 TSSAA Hall of Fame, and 1997 the ETSU Hall of Fame. Whereas in 2002, 2003, Charlie Bayless was a recipient of the TSSAA AF Bridges Award. Whereas Charlie Bayless's 60-year coaching career is the longest in the United States for a high school basketball coach. Whereas Charlie Bayless's 4 daughters, Saree, Charlene, Kathy, and Karen, have been his biggest supporters, rarely missing a game. Whereas Charlie Bayless has positively impacted the lives of countless youth throughout his teaching and coaching career, constantly stressing to his players that a strong work ethic would get them through life. One of his students recently stated that Charlie's mentoring helped him get through his basketball programs, high school, Vietnam, and 35 years at Eastman. What a tremendous testament that is to Coach Charlie Bayless. Whereas Charlie Bayless has served 50-plus years as a county commissioner, now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Leon Humphrey, Mayor of Carter County, honor and congratulate Charlie Bayless for his successful life, outstanding accomplishments as husband, father, coach, teacher, mentor, and civic leader. I applaud him for his tireless commitment to excellence, which has resulted in 60-plus years of professional service to the citizens of Carter County. Not wanting to lose sight of the overwhelming significance of Charlie's contribution, I hereby proclaim October 1 of each year as Charlie Bayless Day. Proclaim this 19th day of March 2010. Congratulations.
Russell Cott, one of my ball players, Russell set up 1986 when the state didn't win the state, went to the state. Russell Cott, the assistant coach, Dickie ran for over 30 years, hit me a lot. Stand up, Dickie. Get up. Coach Sis, hit me football, got up. And Sonder Color, cheerleader, had the noise maker.
I'd like to add that Harry Sisk had something to do with Charlie Bayless's career. His son, Jeff, was on the team that won the state championship in '74. And tell him who coached him in '70. That would be me.
Well, you know, I'm honored today to be able to stand in the same podium with Coach, with Keith, and Camille, because you're looking, you know, 120 years worth of service right there, all rolled into one. So let's give them all one round. I have discovered there's a funding program referred to as high priority projects, local. More specifically, where Carter County is concerned, that would equate to $449,951 that are available for the improvement of streetscapes and pavement repair. These are federal funds that have been designated and require a 20% local match, of which in this case equates to $112,488, resulting in a final project amount of $562,439. I have communicated with Glenn Berry, Director of the Municipal Planning Organization, Mr. Chris Craig of the Rural Planning Organization, Teresa Estes of TDOT's Program Development and Administration, as well as Mr. Kip Mayton, TDOT Local Transportation Manager, to get as much information as possible pertaining to these type projects. Jack Perkins and I have discussed this matter and are in agreement that we need to take advantage of this opportunity. He will be working with an engineering firm to define the scope of a project from those roads noted on the TDOT Urban Functional Classification System maps. Once this is complete, an application will be filed for the funds to be obligated to the project. These transportation projects also require local agency representatives, which will be administrators of the contract, as well as technical administrators overseeing the construction of the projects, to attend an 8-hour training course pertaining to local government guideline manuals and right-of-ways. The next available class will be held on April the 3rd in Cleveland, Tennessee. Ingrid DeLoach, Shannon Burkett, Jonathan Powell, and I will be attending. As I understand, the actual time frames of these projects vary and could take 9 to 12 months, provided everything goes well. But that's $500,000, so we're going to take advantage of it. Tennessee Code Annotated 7-82-307, Commissioners, Numbers, Terms, Vacancies, Election of Commissioners, Section 4. Vacancies on the Board of Commissioners shall be filled by appointment of the county mayor. Within 60 days after the occurrence of a vacancy in the office of any commissioner caused by death, resignation, disability, or forfeiture of office, and no later than 30 days prior to the expiration of the term of office of any incumbent commissioner, the Board of Commissioners or its remaining members shall select 3 nominees to fill such office in accordance with any residential requirements that may apply to the office vacated or to be vacated, and under the seal of the Board of Commissioners shall certify a list of nominees in order of preference recommended by such commissioner to the county mayor of the county in which the utility district or its principal office is located, or of the county in which the commissioners customarily meet if the district has no principal office. Within 21 days after the issuance of certification by the Board of Commissioners to the county mayor, the county mayor may enter an order either appointing one of the nominees or rejecting the entire list, or may refrain from taking any action in which the first name on the list of nominees shall be deemed appointed to fill the vacancy or new term by operation of law. Any order either appointing one of the nominees or rejecting the list of nominees shall be entered of record on the minutes of the county legislative body, and a certified copy of the order shall be furnished to the Board of Commissioners and to the appointee. Doris Lovelace, Office Manager of Siam Utility District, submitted a certified list of nominees dated February the 6th for appointment consideration. Each of your packets contain a copy of said list. In this instance, and in lieu of the fact there was no February commission meeting, I chose to take no action. Thus, Dwight Collins' name appeared first on the list and is deemed appointed to the 4-year term which began February 21, 2012. Madam Clerk, please let the minutes reflect this appointment per the provisions outlined in the statute. On February 24th, I received correspondence from Caroline Hurt informing me that all members of the Carter County Board of Health had agreed to continue serving on the board for another 4-year term, pending commission approval. The current membership, with the exception of the newly elected and appointed officials, was first confirmed by the County Commission during the March 2008 meeting. Thus, their term expires at the end of the month. Each of you have been provided a list of the members currently on the board. Mr. Chairman, per the provisions of Tennessee Code Annotated 668-2-601, a motion to approve the appointment of all current members of the Carter County Board of Health to 4-year terms beginning April 1st seems to be in order.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Motion by Mr. Lewis, second by Mr. Sands to approve the list of the members of the Carter County Board of Health. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
During the public comment section of the December 2011 County Commission meeting, a representative of the Citizens in Action Group requested that the minutes of all subcommittee meetings be posted to the county website, cartercountym.gov. The motion which resulted from this request failed with no action taken. The same request was made again during the January meeting. In my opinion, this is a very reasonable request, and as elected officials, it is our duty and responsibility during these challenging economic times to do everything possible to ensure our citizens are kept apprised as to what is going on in local government, and that we should constantly strive to improve constituent services. This is especially true when, as Commissioner Sams so accurately pointed out in December, the cost of such action is virtually $0. Thus, the county clerk and I have taken all necessary steps to implement said request. Please be advised that my administrative assistant, Debbie Street, has added a new button near the bottom of the Public Documents page. This button links to a new page which contains a window for each of the subcommittees. Once the minutes have been approved, the clerk's office will submit a clean original or an electronic file to Ms. Street. Upon receipt of these minutes, she will upload them to the appropriate committee window to ensure that they are arranged in chronological order and that the overall integrity of the site is maintained. So that's positive. Thank you, Mary, for working on this. The issue of courtroom seating and carpet replacement was first addressed in August of last year. The bid process phases for the renovation project were finalized in late October. Associated budget issues were addressed in November. Material and fabric selections, manufacturing schedules, court dockets, and other factors have continually delayed the project. I am pleased to announce that we have finally blocked out the week of April 16 through 20th for this project. This requires the April Commission meeting to be held in the morning as opposed to evening. Immediately after the meeting, Randy Montgomery, with the assistance of Sheriff Matthews' staff, as well as a number of inmates, will remove all of the existing seating and transport them to the old school bus garage for storage. Beginning Tuesday morning, representatives of Stacy's Carpet will initiate removal of the carpets. The plan is to have all carpets removed on Tuesday, with new carpet beginning to be installed in the seating area by the end of the day on Wednesday. Representatives from Sitmatic will arrive on Thursday morning to install seating while the carpet layers continue to work inside the rail and the judicial bench, judges' chambers, and jury. If all goes well, the projected date of completion should be the end of day on Saturday of that week. During the December Commission meeting, I made you aware of the provisions of Tennessee Code Annotated 5-7-108A1, which states the sheriff has charge of the courthouse, unless some other official is specifically appointed by the county legislative body for that purpose. And he shall prevent trespasses, exclude intruders, and keep it and the grounds attached thereto in order, reporting from time to time repairs required at the expense to the county legislative body. Tennessee Code Annotated, and again, Attorney Bowers reiterated that in January meeting. Tennessee Code Annotated 5-6-1081 makes it extremely clear that the mayor has the care and custody of all county properties, except such as by law placed in the custody of other officers by this body. To date, I have not found any documented evidence that the sheriff of Carter County has ever assumed custody for the courthouse. There may be one instance back in the Pacantonio administration, but that was brief. In the past, the county judges, county executives, and the county mayors have always managed the courthouse and county buildings. Never has there ever been an issue. This is supported by the fact that our county, the general fund, 51800, includes all county buildings. It's not broken out, courthouse here, Folsom House, and so forth. Since taking office, I've done my very best to address existing maintenance issues here at the courthouse. Probation office, planning office, Folsom House, courthouse annex, and those things that come up from time to time. Been working this hard over the health department, Truman Clark Annex, as well as the monument. That was one of the first things I noted when I walked up. Monument's not a major issue. It's sat there for years, no one addressed it. With my background in manufacturing, real estate, and as a homeowner, I fully understand the importance of preventive maintenance. Day one on the job here in the county, I and Jerome Kitchens were in the attic looking over the old HVAC system in preparation for a pre-bid meeting dealing with the new installation. My office has worked hand in hand with Johnson Controls and Norwell to direct and manage all issues associated with the new system, and there have been several. Even Ms. Street has taken a role in that to make certain that we maintain the overall comfort on a daily basis. Day 3 on the job, I and Ken Arnold went to the attic of the original part of the courthouse to locate the source of a roof leak that had damaged the drywall over the arch window just outside those doors. This same section of wall, I found out, had been repaired several years earlier. However, the source of the problem was never addressed. The 5-gallon bucket that had been so gently placed there on those ceiling joists under those rafters was still in place and was full. Of course, when we had a rain event, it would overflow, run down the wall, and cause more problem to the drywall and the interior side of the wall. Then I was advised of this ongoing pungent odor that had lingered in the first level hallway for many months prior to taking office. The actual source was a failed P-trap in the floor drain system within the men's bathroom, which allowed methane gas to back up in the building. So it was a hazard not only to the people here in the courthouse, but to our citizens. Most recently, we discovered an open P-trap above the acoustical ceiling in the hallway outside the mayor's conference room. Now, this thing had been installed at the time the building was built. And since its installation had allowed gas as well to back up into the attic and was being picked up by the HVAC system and dispersed throughout the main hallways, the county clerk's office, the assessor's office, finance department, elections, as well as the mayor's office. And these are only just a few. This is just a few of the many issues that have been addressed over the past 18 and a half months. It ranges anywhere from squirrels in the attic, we've got those too. But all repairs were done as cost effectively and timely as possible. I have noted that there are a great number of high-level projects that have been identified, which must be addressed over the next 29 and a half months. They range from a roof project, gutter projects, paint projects, the windows on the front are falling out on the street. Okay? So this building has been neglected for years, and I'm attacking it as proactively as I possibly can within the scope of our budget. It's my understanding that there are a good number of you that would like for this role now, after all these years, to be taken on by someone other than the mayor, irrespective of your motivations, whether they are political in nature or from simply not understanding the full scope of the daily demands to maintain a building like this as well as the other older buildings in the county. Action is now warranted on your part. For the county, you must do so for the county not to be in violation of the statute. Thus, Mr. Chairman, a motion to assign custody of the courthouse as well as all other county buildings would now be in order.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second to assign someone to be in charge of all county buildings.
No, sir. That's a motion that the mayor be in charge of all county property.
Very well. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Mr. Ron Cannon.
I would like to commend the mayor for paying attention to detail.
Talking about the jailhouse, the house over there, the sheriff's department, you talking about all that stuff too?
Sir, the courthouse annex, I call over daily, whether it's HVAC drain that's backed up, or we've got problems with the HVAC systems themselves. We've got many problems in John Paul's office. I helped him secure estimates and do all of the electrical that was done in that office to take away all of the violations of fire code and like. As far as the sheriff's responsible for the jail itself, I'm not taking on that, but there are monies in the budget, if I understand that correctly, Ms. Avery, to take care of all the utilities and everything in the jail. So we put those in last year. Those were just guesstimates. We will not know until we have 1 full year fully housed facility. But I have worked on that in the past and we've managed it. And actually, it was just over last week, working on the project with the chief there and his people trying to put in the mailboxes. We need mailboxes. We've got a terrible situation over there. So it's much more than what most of you, not here daily, interacting, can comprehend.
I don't know that we couldn't comprehend it, but I think that we may not be aware of it. There's a difference in being aware of a situation and comprehension of a situation.
Mr. Richards.
I make a motion, we table that motion. Well, if that's the grounds and right off.
I have a motion to table. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Arnott.
Now, what was that table motion for?
For the naming of a maintenance man, or for someone to be in charge of the maintenance for all the county buildings.
If anybody will volunteer, I'll vote for them.
Okay, we have a motion to table.
Question on the motion.
Mr. Chairman, we didn't have a discussion. Mr. Hicks had his hand up to what he had to say on this issue.
Well, I'd like to too, but according to the rules, we have to go for the question to table first.
I agree with that.
That requires immediate vote.
Call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Bill Peters.
Aye.
Hugh Ritchie.
Aye.
Lawrence Hodge. Nancy Brown. No. Joel Street.
No.
Richard Winters.
Aye.
Ronnie Crivitt.
No.
Harry Seas.
Aye.
Charles Montana.
No.
Elsie Kester.
Aye.
Steve Lawrence.
No.
John Bowers.
Aye.
Joanne Blankenship.
No.
Charlie Bates.
No.
Dickie Renfro.
No.
Ken Arden.
Aye.
Steve Chambers.
Aye.
John Lewis.
No.
Sonia Coler.
No.
Russell Cott.
No.
Scott Sands.
No.
Bill Armstrong.
Aye.
Pat Hicks.
No.
Robert Goff.
No.
Nine ayes, 14 noes, motion to table failed. We can go back in discussion now. Mr. Hicks, before you, Mr. Wilson, go wait a second.
Just a question, Mayor, to clarify, I'm assuming that schools and school, things under control of the school board would not be part of this.
That's correct. Yeah, that's a totally separate entity, have no control. They have a maintenance program of their own. And Mr. Hicks, when I first came on board, we had a maintenance person as well. But as mayor, I've been directly involved in all of those calls. They call the mayor's office, whether it be a heating, cooling issue here. Actually, last week, we got a call right at the end of the day, about 3 o'clock on Friday. We were informed that there was a problem in the courtroom. We didn't know about it earlier today. We had no oil here within 30 minutes, and within an hour, it was up and going. Of course, it didn't do the judge any good, the chancellor, and people here in the courtroom, but at least we did respond extremely quickly. And my observations are that we can hire a maintenance person here in the county for that, but many of the issues that I see here on a daily basis require outside intervention. We need expert help, whether it be plumbing, serious plumbing issues. I'm not talking about pulling the commode and putting a seal under it if it leaks or replacing the tank. But I'm talking about major issues, HVAC. And I cannot see for the life of me why we in this county want to hire somebody and pay them $35,000 to $45,000 a year to pick up the phone and call when you have that problem. The mayor can do it at no additional cost.
Mr. Lewis, then you, Mr. Street.
Okay, now say we did have an outside man. And these officers over have the property, they won't call Mr. Mayor anyway. Oh, he wouldn't got the authority to do this thing. We got the authority to call the plumbing. Okay? And I have to recommend he is doing a good job. All you commissioners, you go on the second floor up here. It looked like a rat's nest to be on the second floor, and the wind did about fall out.
Third.
Third floor. I tell them all, we're going to have, just have a look at it. And he is trying to get it addressed, get the wind to come in. I think he's about ready to go.
Thank you. Mr. Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor, I'm just curious, why do you think that this is necessary? I mean, it says, one of the first things that I've done as a county commissioner was, the little CTAS book that several of us went, I read that and I saw that in there that it says that is one of the duties of the mayor over the county buildings, so why is it necessary to go through all this?
Because there's an issue that's been focused on the courthouse and the CTAS to make everything right, Mr. Street. We've been trying to do that. There have been several violations. We've been operating outside the statutes, and we're doing a pretty good job cleaning them up. And this is one of them because it specifically states in the statute, as I read to you earlier, that the sheriff is in charge of the courthouse. So unless the legislative body chooses someone else to appoint that duty.
Mr. Chairman, back in
Mr. Richards, first, I'm sorry, but I, you can be right after.
Is that gonna take the authority away from the grounds and building committee?
No, building grounds committee, no,
No.
they don't think.
Well, I thought you used to have that, he's gonna be in charge of everything, they used to go to them for everything.
Well, I would think he would have to do it.
I would have to go depending on the monetary amount, but there's a lot of things that happen here daily that I don't feel necessary to bring before that committee every month, especially if you're dealing with 100 here, 200 here, 500 there. As long as you're under $1,000 and we're doing it timely, we're not going to waste your time. You know, if we operate within the bounds of the budget.
Mr. Chairman, back in 1982, all this started. The county commissioners here, and this is when this jail was built. George Pagantonio was the sheriff. All right, he got me along with the county commission. So he come over here and changed all the laws. So that's why the county commission went back in and revised it for the mayor or the county executive and everything takes care of this. All right? Now, he's here every day. I don't see no problem. He's been doing it all along. And you can't put it in the building grounds committee because one person ain't gonna come down here every day and check this building. This building is getting a bad check, especially upstairs. Another thing, he's the man here, and he's the man that ought to take care of it. So at this time, I'm gonna make a motion to vote the mayor to oversee the building.
Well, we've already had that on the floor, and we're in discussion. Mr. Street, this will be our last comment before we vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to ask legal, Mr. Bowers, what he thinks about all this.
The issue of control of the courthouse kind of began when we were talking about the picture situation. in relationship to the mayor. Truthfully, we never had a question about this until said he picked me up. I'm trying. I don't think mine's very loud. And that was just a few months ago. At that point, we researched it and found out the mayor's statutorily assigned to all county properties except the courthouses and the jailhouse, which is assigned to the county sheriff. I think, and the mayor's correct on his interpretation of statute as far as the county commission can assign someone else to be over the actual courthouse. Now, if this motion before the floor is to put the mayor over the courthouse and the jailhouse, I think you probably can. I certainly would want to research that, just the jailhouse portion. I don't know that you could do that. You may be able to, and I'm, you know, it's just, this not being a super pressing issue that we do it today, it would be good to look at it at least before we get too far.
I don't think that motion implied that. Actually, the jail, the sheriff is in charge of the custody of the jail. Am I not correct, per statute?
Typically, this is how we'll get in trouble as a governmental body when we have a motion but we're not even really sure what it does. You know, we're getting ready to vote on the change of control of buildings. It seems to me that at least on the jail, if that's not part of it, specifically exclude that from the motion.
I've got one more question. Mr. Ryan.
I have a question.
I certainly have an issue, at least a question for the jailhouse itself. I don't think for this building, I think from my recollection of the statute, it's pretty clear you can't assign someone else to go to this building. And traditionally, truth be known, although not a statute, certainly not a statute for the mayor, through Mayor Fair, while I was here, Mayor Holder, and then the beginning of the term of Mayor Humphrey, the mayor has pretty well dictated the direction of this building. I just think we have to be careful how we word this motion. We don't include the jailhouse or that structure. I think that is Chief Street's here, but I think that's always customary. And I know about statute.
Would there be a problem with deferring this question and this motion till our next meeting, till the county attorney can research this and figure out the correct wording that will not get the county and or any of its officials in a bind or confused about anything?
Mr. Chairman. I think the statutes are pretty clear, Mr. Bowers. I addressed them in December. You went over them again in January. We're talking about the courthouse. 5-7-108 makes it clear that the sheriff's in charge of the courthouse, period. Also, in 5-6108, that code makes it clear that the mayor unless the body take action is responsible for all county buildings, but that does not include the courthouse. So I think the motion that was made was dealing with making the mayor responsibility for all county property, including the courthouse, but excluding the jail, and then there's not an issue. Is that correct, sir?
I think if you exclude the jail, you're probably okay. It just gets back to, I think that's.
Mr. Lewis,
Okay, now, if we keep postponing this thing, we ain't gonna gain no ground. Anybody that should know that the mayor is the best man for the job, he's here every day. So, my motion stands as it is, and I can't see no problem.
Mr. Lewis, would you, that we have on the table, we got Mr. Lewis, if you reword it in such a way that the mayor would be responsible for all county buildings excluding the jail.
Okay, I'll amend that, he be responsible for all buildings in this county except the jail, and that would be the sheriff's department.
And the school.
And the school, be the superintendent school department.
Mr. Ritchie.
Do that, I want to get this clear. Will that give him a right to sign off the space? If he's in charge of it, will he have a right to say, hey, you're going to put your office over yonder, or you're going to be put in this corner?
That kind of poor building, right?
That's all
You're going to give him charge of everything, so you have a right.
Just maintenance of it.
Maintenance, signing maintenance don't have no good maintenance. You need to watch the walk and talk to us,
Sit down,
Mr. Sid.
That was the thing I was going to bring up about, this is just, we're talking about, this motion, the maintenance, and the upkeep of the building.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. I've said this before, but two more questions. I'll allow three. Mr. Street, Mr. Tester, and then Mr. Arnott. Go ahead, Mr. Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just ask that after this, if whacking the motion, I would ask Mr. Lewis to amend his motion. Everything else seems to be in order. Why couldn't we just amend it that he has over the maintenance of the courthouse itself? The other is we're following statute already on the on. So just make it the courthouse and leave the other alone.
Well, there's also the matter of the jail annex, courtrooms and offices over there.
We're currently maintaining that, sir.
That's what I'm saying, you would be in charge of that, that's what. Mr. Tester.
I have a problem with that, putting law enforcement, because sitting here today, there's no security in here because several people had access to this room before the deputy got here. You know, if you want secure, then the keys have to be locked up until law enforcement comes, because anybody, if 14 people has keys and they do, walk in this courtroom unlocked, unattended, can bring anything they want to in here and place it in here and come to a metal detector and pick it up. You know, so that's my problem. That's why I voted the way I did, Mayor, because I think that the, you know, we do over there. Then when the courtrooms are unlocked, this goes through the law enforcement, the people that sign to that, they check if anything, even during the night, can somebody place something in there? And that's something that you got to look at this day and time. You don't know when or who somebody plants something, a weapon, a bomb, or anything in these courtrooms. They need to be secure and only open and then once they're open, they're to be manned to make sure nothing like that happens. That's my concern.
Chairman, we discussed this on multiple occasions. You know, I was one of the first that advocated having security here. However, the funding for that, Mayor can sit up here all day and make requests, but the funding and approval has to come from this body. And it's been denied to date. So, you know, until that changes, it doesn't matter who's over the daily upkeep and maintenance, that's going to have to be an issue addressed by this body. Do you want to spend the tax dollars and put security here to protect lives like most of the neighboring counties, or do you just want to continue on as it is with the Mayberry mindset? We're so happy here that nothing's ever going to happen.
Last question will be from Mr. Arnott.
I have a question for the mayor. Without emergency, what is the limit before a bid process that you can spend on
have 3 bids on anything, but $1,000 is the rule that I have been operating by, anything over that. And there's been several that were under that we did. It just depends on the issue, Mr. Arney, whether it be a...
Did you get a bid for the John Paul's office?
Yes.
Bid for John Paul's office?
Yes.
For what phase? The electrical?
The electrical system?
No, sir. No, sir.
Was that over $1,000?
Actually, that came before this commission, and you approved those expenditures many months ago. Yes, it was over $1,000. No, sir.
It's an emergency.
Mr. Chairman, I would call for a question on the motion, Mr. Galvin, since I said that'd be the last question for Mr. Arney.
If I recall right in our January law enforcement committee meeting, I believe that the sheriff stated that he would prefer not to be over this courthouse. He would if we wanted to, but he preferred not to be. And if I'm not right, somebody correct.
He wanted control of the public, the janitors, the payroll, and everything. He's got his hands full with what he's got.
Question on the motion.
First call the roll, please.
Mr. Chairman, can you read the motion?
Get this, yeah. The motion is to make the mayor responsible for the maintenance on county buildings to exclude the jail and any school building. Everybody clear on that?
Question on the motion.
Junior Peters,
No.
Steve Ritchie.
No.
Lawrence Todd, Nancy Brown. Joel Street. Richard Winters.
No.
Ron Trivitt. Harry Seas. Charles Montana.
Pass.
Elsie Tester. Steve Morant.
Aye.
Tom Bowers.
No.
Joyce Blankenship.
Aye.
Charlie Davis.
Aye.
Dickie Renfro.
Aye.
Ken Arden.
No.
Steve Chambers.
No.
John Lewis.
Aye.
Sonia Coler. Russell Cott.
Aye.
Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. Pat Hicks.
Aye.
And Robert Goff.
Aye.
Mr. Taylor, Montana, will change your motion.
I vote aye. Mr. Montana, you wish to change your motion, or your vote?
On page 14.
Do you wish to change your vote?
Page 14. It says what? I still pass.
Ayes, 6 noes, motion carries. All I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, can I make a second?
I don't think it's appropriate time for that, Mr. Williams. I think my comment.
What I did?
We'll take a 5-minute recess. Have a motion for a 5-minute recess. Second for Mr. Graham. We'll be recessed for 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Now, how do I turn it off right here? Just stop it.
Who's got that?
We'll come back to order now. Next item on the agenda will be the election of the coroner. Mr. Sisk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your packet, you have the application application for a corner for one person. That's Ed McCollum, and he has served as the deputy for 4 years, and now has been 4 years serving as coroner, and he's reapplied. And this came up with the nominating committee, so I make a motion that we approve him for the next 4 years.
We have a motion and a second to nominate Mr. Ben Caldwell as our coroner. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Unanimous. Thanks. Next on the agenda is a memorandum of agreement with the city about the jail. Mr. Bowers.
The memorandum in your packet is the last document required from the Southern Bridge between Blake Construction and the negotiations between them. We had Chairman Bowers, Mayor Humphrey, Sheriff Mathis, Eva Pelosi, and myself, and negotiate both the city as well as Blake Construction. Blake Construction agreement documents are executed and are out of the way. This is the document incorporates agreement with the city actually. Several of the items that are required on here, at least I know one of them is already completed, so we're moving along pretty well. The city was extremely agreeable on negotiating terms, and I don't think that, I just don't really see anybody losing any of the hurts. This is what we agreed to. We presented at the, I think, December meeting, some of the rough details of it. Mayor, myself, and Chairman Bowers and the Sheriff did in this thing. The key thing is obviously the removal of pods, and then after that, an additional 90 days to pave in that area. This agreement gives us a temporary certificate of occupancy to be issued on this agreement's execution. That essentially clears the way for the Bible Sheriff to put the way he's got to lay out. As far as legalities between the city and Blaine, we're ready to meet. This is the last agreement in place.
I make a motion, we accept that.
Second.
Second. Motion by Mr. Pruitt, second by Mr. Keller. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
I'm getting a word there.
I don't think the county could obligate ourselves to a agreement like this. So, they're not open yet. And then, like the pods, we can decide if we're gonna move them pods.
We have to do that, we have to.
Who said we had to?
It's an agreement.
It's the city. But I don't think we should, I think it's too early in the stage to offer itself to agree with the city of Lisbon, until we know what the cost is going to be and all that like that.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Any other discussion? Question on the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no?
No.
Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that Mr. Lewis is the only no vote. Now we come to a series of resolutions. I think we have 9 of them listed here, A through
Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion. Everybody's looked over these resolutions. I've read them through. I haven't found any that I disagree with. And due to the length of this, I would like to make a motion that we suspend the reading of the motions unless the county attorney deems it necessary.
So I have a second. Mr. Chairman. Yes, Mr. Good.
I'd like to read this ordinance on this synthetic drugs, how of that, I feel the rest of it.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to see resolution C and E read, please.
Yes, I would too.
C and E, both of them that cover the synthetic drugs.
Mr. Moore, you need your
Yes, yes, sir. As a matter of fact, I had those two marked on my list.
Okay, we have a motion to suspend reading of all resolutions except C and E. Any other discussion? Chair, or Mr. Mayor, you have something?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, in reference to those, those are duplicate resolutions, so I'm in agreement with the group. We need to have lots of discussion on these and determine which direction you want to head in. I don't know that you need to pass both of these resolutions.
Any other discussion? All right. Resolution A.
Resolution A is a resolution that was requested by several commissioners to draft it. State Representative Kent Williams.
Chairman, I don't think we voted on that.
Suspend, we have not voted, okay. All in favor of suspending the reading except on C and E, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Resolution A. The resolution to support the funding of the TWR Fish Hatchery. Call the roll, please.
I make a motion that we accept the resolution.
I second the motion.
Motion by Mr. Blankenship, second by Mr. Lawrence to accept. Now you can call the roll.
Hubert Peters.
Aye.
Keith Ritchie.
Aye.
Lawrence Hodge. Nancy Brown. Joel Street.
Aye.
Richard Winters. Ronnie Crivitt.
Aye.
Harry Seas.
Aye.
Charles Montana.
Aye.
Elsie Testor.
Aye.
Steve Grant.
Aye.
Tom Allen.
Aye.
Glenn Blankenship.
Aye.
Charlie Jones. Dickie Redrow.
Aye.
Ken Arden.
Aye.
Steve Chambers.
Aye.
John Lewis.
Aye.
Sonia Coler. Russell Cott.
Aye.
Scott Sands.
Aye.
Bill Armstrong.
Aye.
Pam Hicks.
Aye.
Robert Goff.
Aye.
All ayes, motion carried. Resolution B to support the Manning Bridge on Highway 91. Do I have a motion?
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ritchie, second by Mr. Street. Any discussion? All those, call the roll, please.
Hubert Peters.
Aye.
Keith Ritchie.
Aye.
Lawrence Hodge. Nancy Brown. Joel Street.
Aye.
Richard Williams.
Aye.
Ronnie Crivitt.
Aye.
Harry Seas.
Aye.
Charles Montana.
Aye.
Elsie Testor.
Aye.
Steve Grant.
Aye.
Tom Allen.
Aye.
Glenn Blankenship.
Aye.
Charlie Davis.
Aye.
Dickie Redrow.
Aye.
Ken Arden.
Aye.
Steve Chambers.
Aye.
John Lewis.
Aye.
Sonia Coler.
Aye.
Russell Cott.
Aye.
Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong.
Aye.
Pat Hicks.
Aye.
Robert Goff.
Aye. All ayes, motion carried. Now, let's skip numbers C and E for the time being. We'll come back to those last, if that'll be all right with you all. So let's go to D, the resolution to encourage the state of Tennessee to pay off-house criminal defendants' mental health evaluations and treatment. Do I have a motion?
I make that motion.
Second.
And a motion from Mr. Hicks, second from Mr. Blankenship to approve this. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Hubert Peters.
Aye.
Hugh Ritchie.
Aye.
Lawrence Hodge. Nancy Brown. Joel Street. Richard Winters.
Aye.
Ronnie Crivitt.
Aye.
Harry Seas.
Aye.
Charles Montana.
Aye.
Elsie Testor.
Aye.
Steve Grant.
Aye.
Tom Allen.
Aye.
Glenn Blankenship.
Aye.
Charlie Davis.
Aye.
Dickie Redrow.
Aye.
Ken Arden.
Aye.
Steve Chambers.
Aye.
John Lewis.
Aye.
Sonia Coler.
Aye.
Russell Cott.
Aye.
Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong.
Aye.
Pat Hicks.
Aye.
Robert Goff.
Aye. All ayes, motion carried. We'll go to number F, is a resolution proposing the state unfunded mandates. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lewis, second by Ms. Keller, to approve resolution F. opposing the state's unfunded mandates. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Buford Peters.
Aye.
Steve Ritchie. Mark Todd. Nancy Brown. Joel Street. Richard Winters. Ronnie Crivitt. Harry Seas. Charles Von Zant. Ron Kennedy. Charles Von Kennedy. Elsie Testor. Steve Ray. Tom Allen. Joanne Blankenship. Charles Davis. Dickie Reddenborough. Ken Arden. Steve Chambers. John Lewis. Johnny Coler. Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. James Hicks. Robert Goff.
All ayes, motion carried. We'll go to item G, the resolution to approve a proposal for the Tennessee Department of Transportation. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Mr. Keller, second by Mr. Street. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Buford Peters. Steve Ritchie. Nancy Brown. Joel Street. Richard Winters. Ronnie Crivitt. Harry Seas. Charles Von Kennedy. Elsie Testor. Steve Ray. Tom Bowers. Joanne Blankenship. Tony Bates. Dickie Reddenborough. Ken Arden. Steve Chambers. John Lewis. Johnny Coler. Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. Pat Hicks. Roger Goff.
All ayes, motion carried. Item H, the resolution authorizing contract with the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation. Do I have a motion to approve? I believe Mr. Street made the motion and Mr. Sisk second. Is there any discussion on it? Call the roll, please.
Buford Peters. Steve Ritchie. Nancy Brown. Joel Street. Richard Winters. Ronnie Crivitt. Harry Seas. Charles Von Kennedy. Elsie Testor. Steve Ray. Tom Bowers. Joanne Blankenship. Charles Davis. Dickie Reddenborough. Ken Arden. Steve Chambers. John Lewis. Sonia Cole. Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. Pat Hicks. And Robert Goff.
All ayes, motion carried. Item I, resolution authorizing application for grant funds.
Motion to approve.
For the fast track infrastructure development.
Got quick on the gun this time.
Motion by Mr. Lawrence, second by Mr. Grant, to approve. Is there any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Steve Ritchie. Nancy Brown. Joel Street. Richard Winters. Ronnie Crivitt. Harry Seas. Ron Von Kennedy. Elsie Testor. Steve Ray. Tom Allen. Joanne Blankenship. Charles Davis. Dickie Reddenborough. Ken Arden. Steve Chambers. John Lewis. Sonia Cole. Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. Pat Hicks. Robert Goff.
All ayes, motion carried. So we'll go back to the C and E resolution and we'll.
Mr. Chairman, just have a question here. Two resolutions on these synthetic drugs. On one, it says synthetic drugs are felony. And on the other, it names them all. They don't say nothing about a felony. They should be combined some way into one resolution.
That's true. I think one recommends that the state make the sale of synthetic drugs.
And then it names them on this other resolution. So I think they need to be combined some way.
Ms. Blankenship.
On the last sentence, on C, the resolution C, it says that it asks for it to be designated as a felony. And the reason for C, I talked with Tony Shipley, who is the author of the bill in Nashville, and asked him what would be the strongest thing that this commission could send to Nashville to let them know that we don't want this in our community and that we wanted it to be considered as a felon. And he said if we would mimic as close to what Kingsport and Sullivan County had passed, that would be a step forward for him and for his push to get something passed in Nashville. So that's why you have C.
Well, we just need to vote for both of them, I guess.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. I've reviewed both resolutions. The first one I had sent to Attorney Bowers early on, asking that we have our representatives in Nashville address this from a felony standpoint. My concern with the other resolution is it specifically states, or the intent, correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney Bowers, that the intent of this is to ask the municipalities within the county to create ordinances, which would be the city of Watauga and the city of Elizabethton. What good does that do the rest of the county? So, I can understand Ms. Blankenship's conversation there, but this thing would be protecting only the people within those municipalities, provided they go ahead and create the ordinances. And I think this is something that needs to be done on the state level in our legislature, and it does need to be made a law on the books such that it is a felony and that these people can be punished and sent to jail. Chief, do you have any thoughts on that at all?
Certainly, if the one goes, if they exclude it in the cities, all it's going to do is drive them in the county. Force them into county operation somewhere in our jurisdiction. We certainly don't want that. And what we're seeing with it, something needs to be done quickly. It's affecting us all the way up to our jail right now. Enforcement situations we're having to deal with in the jail.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Bowers.
Resolution E, maybe it's about the mayor actually pretty early in the game, preparing his behalf and reviewed and put on the agenda. It is requesting the state legislature to make the sale of synthetic drugs a felony, also make a more blanket statement where the initial statute attacking ingredients, this attacks the, for lack of a better term, the result, the feeling that one obtains from different drugs, trying to incorporate in all the different chemical compounds that could be used to make this. Because perfectly frankly, the drug dealers are faster than the legislature. They're always building, always acting, they're always chasing from behind. The second resolution also requests that these be made a felony in the last subsection. It goes on though to just compliment Kingsport on what they've done as far as city ordinance and asking any additional city in our county to look at this, because cities have some ordinance powers that counties don't have to make some things illegal. It's certainly not driving up the county, and I'll be frank with you, you can pass one vote or either. I don't really think there's a huge synthetic drug lobby in the state legislature. I think this can be taken care of with the vote. I've talked to some of the state representatives who's opposed to making synthetic drugs not only illegal, all the different compounds, but also a felony. So it's up to this commission. Approving both doesn't hurt you. If you pick one you like the best, that's fine too. I think it only helps our representative and our senator to send something. The movement certainly, if this is going to happen this session, it's already out of stuff. It's not going to take long. I think July 1st you'll see the law on the books.
It certainly would not hurt to approve both of them.
I think they're both public.
If we accept both of these today, do we have any power of the law enforcement starting acting this now?
No, counties operate under general law, and we can't, we can't make this thing.
Can't make it a nuisance.
If you're going to go through anything, potentially, the only thing I think a county could really do, if you're going to try to do something immediately, and I don't think you get done by July, so I'm hesitant to tell you that I think it's a good idea, but you could potentially make zoning regulation on how or where you can sell these type of things, and you can zone them out of your county essentially, and have them go through a permit process. That's one thing I thought was a creative way to get rid of them, we did zone them out of the county. You can zone out adult establishments, you certainly be able to zone out drug sales. But I think by the time we get through that, this is March, by the time we do the proper hearings, go through the planning, and get back up here, we're gonna be in June, you're gonna spend $1,000 for me to draft it up and get it done. I think the state legislature will take care of it on July 1st for you, without us spending another penny county.
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we accept both of these resolutions.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Tripp, second by Mr. Carney, to accept both resolutions. Any discussion, Mr. Chambers?
Yes. I think we have to accept both of them because really I think this is a statewide effort from Mountain City to Memphis to rid our state of these drugs. I was appalled I thought we only had one place in this county that did sold these, when that was in the city, but I learned in the last several weeks that we have several businesses in this county that are selling these illegal drugs, or synthetic drugs. Now what worries me, and I will address the chief and I see Chief Bailey back here, is we have, this will go back to the time, I guess, before we ever sold beer in Carter County. You've got businesses in this county that do not have a business license. Some of them are located in our districts that are selling those under the table. And they are within a half mile of our schools. So I would ask that if we pass this, that we make it an effort to stop the businesses from selling it, but we also make it an effort to make these businesses that do not have a license, and when I say that, I'm saying these businesses, that these people that go up here and rent a building beside the highway and use it as a what's so-called yard sale. But at the same time, they're selling cars, they're buying gold, they're buying merchandise from individuals that we don't know where it comes from. And yet they get by with it because they do not have a business license. They take this garage sale route to get away from that. They pay high dollar rent on these buildings. But yet the activity that goes on around is of concern to me and my community. So it's not just a business on Broad Street or a business up here across the bridge. We've got a big problem in this county. And it'll be, and what we'll do, these people will go across state lines. They'll go to South Carolina, where it's legal right now. They'll pick these things up. They'll bring them back up here, and they'll sell it for 3 times, 4 times what it's selling for right now. And that's what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned we can stop it. But we've got to be aware that there's going to be sales going on under the table. And I would like to address Chief Bailey. That is a big concern of mine. Our young people, right now, I think this is a problem against our young people right now. High schools. And we've seen what happened in Washington County. Now, was at the hospital 4 weeks ago. They took my mother-in-law to the hospital. They brought a young lady into the emergency room. There was 4 officers holding her down from both sides. Now, we've got a problem. It's escalating. We better take care of it. If it means passing both of these at the same time to do it, let's do it. But let's watch out for the sales of it in these so-called places that are not businesses that don't have a license.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. Your points are well taken, and I'm sure Chief Street, Sheriff Mathis, Chief Bailey, all other law enforcement agencies are well aware of the potential for this when it is, and I know it will be legislated illegal, and well, it should be. But as this is a problem that is as old as time began, there will always be black market, bootleg, under the table, whatever you want to call it. And our law enforcement, city, county, state, federal, needs to be ever vigilant in their efforts to bring these individuals who bring this poison to our young people to a halt and dealt with in a harsh and severe way. I'm not sure which one of you gentlemen is up first, but go ahead, Mr. Lawrence, and I'll get you.
One of the things that's most disturbing about this is I've talked to the sheriff, I've talked to Chief Bailey over here, I've talked to our representatives, Kent Williams, and one of the things that's really disturbing about this, any kid, whether they're 5 years old, 10 years old, can walk in a place and get this. And I do believe that we do need to pass both these. Yes, I do believe it needs to be made a felony. You can buy this stuff over the internet, you know, and it's going to be hard to stop. They're going to have to stop it in the state. They're going to have to make it a felony. I would call on my friends in the city, and after talking to Kent Williams, he said that the more people that would get involved in this and the more people that would come up with resolutions and speak out against this, the quicker they could get it done in Nashville. And that's where it has to be. It has to go to Nashville to be done. And I would call on my friends in the city to pass a resolution like we do, and let's put an end to this. And I did see a couple young men, and they was very much opposed to doing anything about this synthetic drug. Said that we were infringing on their personal liberties. Well, I do believe in personal liberties. But you think about this. Personal liberties. We can't let people kill themselves and destroy their lives and destroy their families and destroy their future in the name of personal liberties. Folks, this stuff is dangerous. I think that this stuff is just as dangerous, if not more, than the real drugs themselves. And we need to do all that we can possibly do, whether it's pass 15 resolutions, whatever it takes to put a stop to this. Let's stick together on this and let's move forward and let's end it. We don't need this in Carter County.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Byers, can we, as a county body, and if the city goes along with us, can we pass a law ordinance that make these things, can't sell inside Carter County, make it illegal?
I think the city would have a little bit more authority to do something like that than the county would. I think our best resolution would be to zone the area you can sell, to eliminate it through civil procedures. I'll be glad to look at that for you next month. I won't spend a lot of time. I'll spend just a few minutes and see if the other county can just give you a report. I'll try to call you individually for the meeting as well.
Well, I mean, look, you know, like that, some of these other cities that passed ordinance against selling, I think Eastville did. One of them did.
See that different counties.
Yeah, if we can go ahead and, I'm not putting on ordinance.
Question.
Ms. Blankenship.
When I talked to Kent Williams, he said that it seemed to be more prevalent here in East Tennessee than in Western Part, and that's why they need us to unite here in East Tennessee to send our resolutions to them to get more support. because apparently the people on the western end of the state are not having the problems that we're having here. Sullivan County is having such a terrible time because it is a felon in Virginia. So they're coming to Sullivan County. I called North Carolina, and North Carolina's not having a problem yet, but it's a misdemeanor in North Carolina. So if we can make it a felon here, then the ones that are here will go to North Carolina. But I just thought, and another thing, he hopes that they'll have this passed down there in Nashville, so they can get the support by May 15th.
Question on the motion. Let's vote. You're exactly right, Mr. Blankenship, and I also talked to some of our legislators from the western part of the state and also law enforcement, and they said it is moving westward. We have a motion, a question on the motion. And the motion is to approve both of these resolutions.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Mayor.
Let me add just one thing to that. You can labor these all day. General Assembly's already in session. Attorney Bowers has pointed out. Well, in play with their work, I have spoken with all of the people in Nashville, Mr. Lundberg, Shipley, all the others who reference this matter. This is just sending out a request to them to take action and to try to incorporate it into the statute. So irrespective, I think time is of the essence. Items such as this, where time permits and the schedule will allow, needs to be at the General Assembly before they ever convene, shortly thereafter. Here's March. Before you know it, their business is going to be finished, and we will have lost an ear.
It will not hurt to step back before that. So, we have any more discussion? Question on the motion. Go ahead and call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Richard Peters.
Aye.
Keith Ritchie.
Aye.
Nancy Brown.
Aye.
Will Street.
Aye.
Richard Winters.
Aye.
Ronnie Crivitt.
Aye.
Harry Seas.
Aye.
Ron Fontaine.
Aye.
Jesse Pinkins.
Aye.
Steve Ray.
Aye.
Tom Allen.
Aye.
Joanne Blankenship.
Aye.
Ron Davis.
Aye.
Dickie Redrow.
Aye.
Ben Arden.
Aye.
Steve Chambers.
Aye.
John Lewis.
Aye.
Sonia
Aye.
Coler. Russell Cott.
Aye.
Scott Sands.
Aye.
Bill Armstrong.
Aye.
Pat Hicks.
Aye.
Ron Goff.
Aye. All ayes, motion carries. Now, we'll go to the committee reports on our agenda. Budget Committee, Mr. Sid.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Budget Committee met March 12th, and the first item that came up was Carter County 911. They presented funding needs to the committee, which goes back several years, 4 years, I believe, that they had come up short because the funding was apparently reduced, and they were asking for $24,228 to finish out this year. And that came to about $6,000 per year for the 4 years. And so the Budget Committee voted to recommend that we take $24,228 from fund balance to bring them up to that. I'll make that in form of a motion this time.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Mr. Sims, seconded by Mr. Lewis to fund 911 in the amount of $24,228 and take that money from the fund balance to do that. Mr. James.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of questions that's been asked to me by some people in the public, and I notice we have Attorney Rice here representing, and Mr. Byers, and I've got questions for both of them. being one of the new commissioners on the table here, I was unfamiliar with the dropping of the funding several years ago. I first heard about this in the newspaper, if you look, several months ago, when I saw that they were going down to Nashville to address this problem. I guess my question is, when the funding was dropped, why did it take 4 years, 5 years before it was brought back to this commission? Why, if that was against state law, why did the next year wasn't something done about it then? And then we've just been paying $4,000, and you add $4,000 instead of getting us up for $24,000 here at one time, 2 months before budget starts.
I'll be glad to address that, Mr. Chambers, and that's an excellent question. One we'd like to know ourselves. As you've been made aware, here in 2005, the district applied for a rate increase to the state of Tennessee, okay, for the surcharge on the phone bills. That was approved contingent upon the amount of money that's going to be provided from the local governments for dispatching services. The state of Tennessee will not pay for dispatching services. They pay for the 911, the trunk lines, etc. And he can go into more operations about that, Director Blevins can. So to answer your question, in 2006, when they passed that in 2005, and the county dropped their payment off in 2006, their allocation, by policy, sir, that was supposed to have been addressed at that point. The reason it came to light now is because last year we were deemed to be financially at risk due to the amount of money they're paying out for dispatching services that they're not entitled to do. So the ball was dropped with the administration there then, okay? So we would love for it to come over here and ask for $4,000 versus the $24,000, etc. So they go down, they brought us down there to talk about the financially at risk. Again, when we were deemed to be at risk, our financial statements, they basically got them under the microscope and started looking at them. It was brought to our attention, and as soon as Director Blevins was hired, he started talking about this. He brought it to our attention and said, we're violating policy. We, as the district, are violating the state's policy by not reporting this immediately. Okay? I didn't know anything about it. It never got to the state level until we became at risk. It was never addressed by the previous administration. Okay? So they look at it as to say, you're violating, are you legally obligated to do this by state statute? No. Okay? If you decide not to do this, you will put the district in violation of policy 14, which will, in essence, we'll lose about $400,000 a year. Okay, $200,000 from the surcharge, and $209,000 from the surcharge, and roughly $200,000 from the recurring operating expenses that the state of Tennessee currently pays. I wish like crazy that this had been addressed in 2006, so it wouldn't have been dumped in my lap when I got to be the chairman. So, but again, it was brought to our attention, and this is money that the state of Tennessee, in essence, says when they approved that rate, okay, the city and the county approved that they are basically said that they were going to maintain a certain level of staff or funding. Once the rate increase was approved, the county dropped off the next year. Okay, again, that was unbeknownst to the state. The only ones who knew about that was the current administration at that time. So, in essence, if you don't, again, are you legally obligated to do this by state statute? No, sir. Again, if you don't do this and bring it all the way up, we try to pump out as much information. Ms. Rice and I, of course, and the administration up there now, had to go back there and face them back in February. They are positioned, we just had a luncheon last week with their attorney, and they are positioned to take this rate increase away from the district. They see this, as you guys know, the legislative body saying, you know, and let me back up one quick second. And I think a lot of this has to do with the misrepresentation of the information. You guys need to understand what it is you're funding and why you're funding it, and how you're funding it, what you get for what you're funding. So, in essence, it was dropped off, the money was dropped off. The body here, because it was an outside agency allocation, that money was dropped off, and the state of Tennessee used that as, okay, we've increased your rate, your surcharge rate, now your county's dropping off, money that they're paying. So you see, it looks like you guys or the county is using state money, which is where they get all upset about. So we met with them, and they are positioned for us to go back down there and tell them, the results of this meeting here. Their position, May 17th, is to take this on as a board and rescind that rate. If they rescind that rate they approved in 2005, it will go back to 65 cents for landline and $2 for commercial. That's residential is 65 cents and commercial is $2. And I can be honest with you, sir, and I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that would essentially put them into bankruptcy and failure. That's how tight the money is. And again, the cell phones have leveled off, and we all know about the landlines have dropped off. So if the amount of money if we get less money per landline, there's a whole lot less landlines, residential, you can do the math. Plus, they also retain the right to do away with the recurring operating expenses, which is what they fund. So essentially, it could be just over $400,000.
One more pop right up here. I've
Yes,
got
sir.
one more question I was asking. I know this will the 911 was started in when?
1992 is our cause of the referendum.
1992. How many employees did you start out with in 1992?
I would have to defer that yield that to the director, sir. I'm not familiar with that.
It was 8 and 2 part-time
8 full-time and 2 part-time employees at the time.
at the time. Dispatch.
That was dispatching.
Okay, how many is there now?
Again, I'll yield to him. I don't.
13 full-time and 6 or 7 part-time.
13 full-time and 6 or 7 full-time. Or I'm sorry, part-time.
Okay. Okay, now, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, I have a question for Mr. Byers up here.
I'd like to have a,
Let me finish. We are we, and I think Mr. Bailey answered this, but I will ask you because you're a county attorney, and are we legally binded to pass this?
I think Chief Bailey gave an extremely accurate reflection of the current state. I don't think we're by statute we're required to fund it. The agreement between 911 and their state funding agency, it's just got potential catastrophic effects. But I think Chief Bailey really gave it a good synopsis of the law. Is that the word of instinct?
That is it. That essentially, you put us in violation of policy 14.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Trigg.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
The city and the county is paying $80,000 apiece, right?
There, the city's at 85 and the
And the county will be if they approve this. Okay, you've got the rescue squad, they dispatch for them. Are they paying anything?
Not at this time, sir.
They're a non-profit organization, is that right?
That is the way I understand it, yes.
That answers my question.
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
Under the previous administration,
Yes, sir.
have I been misinformed that when Mr. Pierce left there, that there was $500,000 or $600,000 left in the bank?
No, sir, you were not. That is correct.
It was there.
That is correct.
Then Mr. Flevin turned around, went out and bought a $40,000 SUV vehicle to ride around in. Is that right?
I can say that's absolutely incorrect, sir.
Well, what, did they spend on a big, a new vehicle? What happened to the $600,000?
Part of that's been invested, sir, and part of that, the state of Tennessee says they do not care if we have $50 million in the bank. They look at they look at expenditures and revenues. That's all they're looking at. That money's already basically encumbered. It has to be set aside through depreciation for them to be able to go out and replace any kind of piece of equipment, which could essentially cost $300,000 or $400,000 for one piece of equipment. That's just good business. And we have to have that done by the state. Again, Dale can refer to that. But we have to do that regarding the depreciation. It has to be shown on our balance sheet, on our budget. We have to account for that. And this is not isolated to here. This is all across the state of Tennessee where local municipalities have been keeping up with the cost of doing business, essentially. That if we had $500,000, which we do, our records are obviously open, then part of that has been invested. We're trying to make money off of that. Again, the state of Tennessee does not care, because I assure you, when we were down there, they had our financial statements all the way back to 1992. They do not care, sir, how much money you have in the bank. They look at this. This item we're here to talk about today is the funding that was basically a shortfall from 2006 to current day. Moving forward next year, again, they don't care how much money you do have in the bank. They don't even recognize that because they know you have that set aside because it's the district's responsibility to pay to replace high dollar items if they were to go down. For example, radios, computers, trunking systems, all those things. There are a number, and again, I can yield to Dale there. There are just, what goes into that, making that place up there run will blow your mind. The amount of computers and technology and what it costs, just simply the maintenance agreements are off the chart. And you have to pay that. You have to pay that. There's no way around that. But and to answer your question about the $400,000 or the $40,000 vehicle, that is completely untrue, sir.
Well, I've got one more. I spent 17 years in the rescue squad as a volunteer.
Yes, sir.
Every time the phone rung, we found the house. But I'm a firm believer in 911.
Yes, sir.
When you pick that phone up, you call 911, immediately it shows right where that call's coming from.
That is correct.
That gives you a fax. The landline don't do that. I mean, the cell phone don't do it.
The technology's there, it's what they're moving towards,
Right.
for the next generation stuff. Again, things you can be doing in the future is absolutely insane. I mean, again, I would defer to Dale because I don't know the functionality of all that, but it is. And you know, we all had this lengthy discussion about bath salts. I can assure I'm right on the front lines of that. Okay, we're affected tremendously by bath salts. And I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, to divert here, but I've got to say this. These folks at 911, they get hit by everybody's call volume increase. Okay, that's where it all starts. And they have to be on the landline to be able to know what to do with these folks when they're calling and hallucinating or saying somebody's killing somebody. That's those folks. And the reason, there's an increase, our call volume has gone off the chart, just at the police department, not including the fire department and the sheriff's office. And you don't even want to go about, again, going back the way it was, transferring to somebody being at the police department or at the sheriff's office. That would be in excess of $1 million to get started. So I hate to doubt with
Well, just like yesterday, we had, they had this deal up here at Valley Forge on the bath salts. It would pay anybody to go down to the hospital and just sit down there one night and see how many people brought in down there. The news media don't even report. They don't get out here in the community of how many people goes in there at night and then on the job city too. It'd blow your mind how many people ODs and down there at night. And you answered my question.
Yes, sir.
We can't do without 911.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. Ms. Blankenship.
Since the decrease in the landlines, have you looked at approaching this legislative body about charging a fee for 911 addresses, for the new addresses going forward?
Again, that was something I'm sure the state of Tennessee, the Tennessee Emergency Communication Board, I'm sure will be addressing that. That's been brought up. And again, I can yield to Mr. Blair, because he can tell you more about that because he goes to those meetings. But to answer your question, ma'am, I don't know if somebody's been to the legislature. Everybody's trying to get every penny from every place they can right now.
I just thought that could be
Absolutely.
a source.
Sure, and again, let me just say very quickly, we've cut that budget down. I mean, we have cut, and Dale has cut, and we went back and cut more, and it's just the amount of money it takes to put people in those chairs up there to answer all those calls is what's hurt the 911's bottom line. Okay, and they're basically have taken on the financial obligation of putting folks in those chairs up there to answer my and the training and the insurance and everything that goes along with that. We on the city, our proposed budget from the police department have moved that from an outside agency allocation to a contracted services line. I have a certain amount, Chief Gary has a certain amount in his budget, so it's not subject to the outside allocation, scrutiny on those kinds of things. It's basically what the county will be doing is outsourcing their dispatch. They have folks over in the sheriff's office now, and again, I can deal with it, Chief Street. They're not doing dispatching. They don't touch the 911 call. They're there doing warrant checks and running tag numbers for the sheriff's office and doing more in-person checks for the sheriff's office. They don't touch the 911 call. That's done by the folks up there at 911. We're basically outsourcing our dispatching services to the 911 district.
One more question. Does 911, they did buy, or do they own, there's about 40-some radios they own, Mr. Sheriff's Department?
I'm confused on, does 911 own radios at the sheriff's office?
Mr. Pierce put about 40-some radios in the sheriff's department.
I have absolutely no idea about that, sir. I can honestly say I don't know.
Is there any more discussion? We have a motion and a second. We have a motion by, Coach Bailey. Pardon? We have a question on the motion by Coach Bailey. Is that right? Well, you call it.
Steve Ritchie.
Aye.
Nancy Brown. Joel Street. Richard Winters. Ronnie Crivitt. Harry Seas. Charles Von Cannon. Chelsea Chester. Steve Ray. Tom Allen.
No.
Brad Blankenship.
Aye.
Charlie Bailey.
Aye.
Dickie Redrow. Ken Arden. Steve Chambers.
No.
John Lewis. Sonia Coler. Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. Pat Hicks. Robert.
Aye. 20 ayes, motion carried.
All right, the next item, Mr. Chairman, was concerning the coroner's supplies. The rescue squad will no longer provide these supplies to the coroner, and that involves things like gloves, shoe covers, gowns, masks, and so forth that he needs to finish out this year. And so the Budget Committee has recommended that we provide them with $1,000 in fund balance to cover the remainder of this year, and I make that motion.
I'll say. Have a motion by Mr. Fisk, second by Mr. Trivett, to fund the county coroner $1,000 for supplies. Is there any discussion, Mr. Fisk?
I would like to, Mr. Siskey, did I understand you say that someone else furnished this and they cut it out? The rescue squad?
Yes.
Just cut it out. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Question.
Call the roll, please.
Judy Peters. Steve Ritchie. Nancy Brown. Joel Street. Richard Winters. Ronnie Crivitt. Harry Seas. Charles Von Cannon. Chelsea Chester. Steve Ray. Tom Allen. Brad Blankenship. Charlie Bailey. Dickie Redrow. Ken Arden. Steve Chambers. John Lewis. Sonia Coler. Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. Pat Hicks. Robert Goddard. Richard Winters.
Two ayes, motion carried.
Okay, next, Mr. Anderson told us this morning about Snap-on Tools grant, fast track grant, and the county is, we provide a certain amount of money, and the grant was to be used for the new transformer, and the new electric poles and water lines, and move some dirt, and so the Budget Committee has recommended that we fund $17,440 to provide our part for this. And as you recall, he told us that they would be hiring probably 77 new employees, and that would be a big step in the right direction. So I make the motion that we provide
motion by Mr. Sis, seconded by Coach Bayless to approve this. To approve, giving, matching grant of $17,440 for the Snap-on Fast Track grant. And we also have a question on the motion. Call the roll, please.
Buford Peters.
Aye.
Steve Ritchie.
Aye.
Nancy Brown. Will Street.
Aye.
Richard Winters.
Aye.
Ronnie Crivitt. Ronnie Crivitt.
Aye.
Harry Seas.
Aye.
Charles Montana.
Aye.
Elsie Testor.
Aye.
Steve Ray.
Aye.
Paul Allen.
Aye.
Joanne Blankenship.
Aye.
Charlie Bailey.
Aye.
Steve Renfro.
Aye.
Ken Arden.
Aye.
Steve Chambers.
Aye.
John Lewis.
Aye.
Sonia Coler.
Aye.
Russell Cott.
Aye.
Scott Sands.
Aye.
Bill Armstrong.
Aye.
Ron Roberts.
All ayes, motion carries.
All right, next item is from the landfill committee. They have applied and it's been approved for a used oil grant for a total of $27,500. This will come out of the fund balance, but it will be put back in because this grant is fully reimbursed. And I make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Sis, second by Mr. Renfro to approve this $27,500 for a reimbursable grant for the landfill. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Buford Peters.
Aye.
Steve Ritchie.
Aye.
Nancy Brown. Will Street.
Aye.
Richard Winters.
Aye.
Ronnie Crivitt.
Aye.
Harry Seas.
Aye.
Charles Montana.
Aye.
Elsie Testor.
Aye.
Steve Ray.
Aye.
Paul Allen.
Aye.
Joanne Blankenship.
Aye.
Charlie Bailey.
Aye.
Steve Renfro.
Aye.
Ken Arden.
Aye.
Steve Chambers.
Aye.
John Lewis.
Aye.
Sonia Coler. Russell Cott.
Aye.
Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong.
Aye.
Ron Hicks.
Aye.
Ron Carter.
Aye.
All ayes.
All ayes, motion carried.
Next item, Civil Service Committee spoke, asking for some funds to finish out the year. They've asked for $600. Of course, they're doing testing for the new employees that are coming to the Sheriff's Department and the jail and so forth. So the committee recommended that we approve $600 from fund balance. I make the motion that we do that.
Second. Motion by Mr. Sis, second by Mr. Arnie to approve $600 to the Civil Service Board to cover their costs until the end of the year.
Question on the motion.
Have to ask for discussion first. Any discussion? I have a question on the motion. Call the roll, please.
Buford Peters.
Aye.
Steve Ritchie.
Aye.
Nancy Brown. Will Street.
Aye.
Richard Winters.
Aye.
Ronnie Crivitt.
Aye.
Charles Montana.
Aye.
Elsie Testor.
Aye.
Steve Ray.
Aye.
Tom Allen.
Aye.
Joanne Blankenship.
Aye.
Charlie Bailey.
Aye.
Dickie Renfro.
Aye.
Ken Arden.
Aye.
Steve Chambers.
Aye.
John Lewis.
Aye.
Sonia Coler. Russell Cott.
Aye.
Scott Sands.
Aye.
Bill Armstrong.
Aye.
Pat Hicks.
Aye.
Robert Goff.
Aye.
All ayes, motion carried.
Next item, excuse me, Chief Street came to the Budget Committee and requested that we transfer from one line item, which was for the jail salary line, $171,732.72 from line item 54210 to the appropriate line items to cover some needs of equipment that did not come with the construction. And the Budget Committee made a motion, and I pass it on to you that we transfer those funds wherever it's needed
motion by Mr. Sis, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sams. Have discussion, Mr. Lewis.
Mr. Lowe, if we give him this money now, do we have to take, back out the tax dollars, come to budget year to put it back?
No.
You've already funded him the money for the jailer's salaries, if he's not hired all those jailers, then you're not in jail. What he's
Okay.
asking for you to do is to take it from a salary line and put it into his equipment and maintenance and repair line, so that he can buy stuff for the new jail and be able to move in.
I understand that now, but if he takes this out of his salaries money that he set that part of new deputies, then when you hire the new deputies, how they gonna get paid?
That money will be in there if you fund it for the next year's budget. This just makes an amendment in this year's budget, and he went from July until present without all those employees.
I understand that, but next year, then we have to put more money in the budget to cover the salary, and cover the new employees, right?
And you will fund the budget just like you did this year. There will be no additional.
Won't be no new money for new employees?
Unless he asks for additional, we give him additional, but this does not affect next year's budget. This is an amendment on the 11-12 budget.
This right here, this is money on the deputies that he ain't hired yet,
Jailers that he has not hired yet.
inside the jail.
Correct.
Okay.
Any comment, Mr. Sprague, on the motion? Chief, do you have any comment?
No, I think Mr. Close explained it, it's no new money.
I have a question on the motion. The motion is to transfer $171,732.72 from a line item for guards' salaries to cover the needs of the jail, equipment and maintenance wise. Any more discussion? Don't let me have a question on the motion. Call the roll.
Hugh Peters. Hugh Ritchie. Andrew Brown. Joel Street. Richard Winters. Ronnie Crivitt. Mary Stevens. Charles Montana. Elsie Testor. Steve Ray. Tom Banners. Joanne Blankenship. Charlie Bates. Dickie Renfro. Ken Arden. Steve Chambers. John Lewis.
No.
Sonia Cole. Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. Pat Hicks. Robert Goff. Steve Chambers.
No.
Twenty.
21 ayes, motion carried.
Okay, next item is amendment, general fund 101, budget amendment number 6 with 17 items, total of $303,000, 734 cents. Nothing, no new money, nothing coming out of fund balance for this. It's transferring from line item to where it can be used. I make a motion that we approve this transfer.
I'll second. Motion by Mr. Sis, second by Coach Bayless to approve. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Hugh Peters. Hugh Ritchie. Nancy Brown. Joel Street. Richard Winters. Ronnie Crivitt. Mary Stevens. Charles Montana. Elsie Testor. Steve Ray. Tom Allen. Joanne Blankenship. Charlie Bates. Steve Renfro. Ken Arden. Steve Chambers. John Lewis. Sonia Cole. Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. Pat Hicks. Robert Goff. Joel Street.
All ayes, motion carried.
Next item, transfer for the highway department, Fund 131, budget amendment number 1, with one item is total of $29,000 to transfer from one line item to another, and no money coming from fund balance. I make a motion that we approve.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Sis, seconded by Coach Bayless to approve the $29,000 transfer for the highway department. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll.
Victor Peters. Steve Ritchie.
Aye.
Nancy Brown. Earl Street. Richard Winters. Ronnie Crivitt. Mary Sis. Charles Montana. Steve Hester. Steve Ray. Tom Allen. Johnny Blankenship. Charlie Bailey. Andrew Redbird. Ian Arden. Steve Chambers. Don Lewis. Sonia Coler. Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. Pat Hicks. Robert Goddard.
All ayes, motion carried.
Next item is a general purpose school fund 141 budget amendment. One item, that's a total of $21,878. Nothing coming out of fund balance. This is just a transfer. I make that motion that we approve.
Second.
Second. Have a motion by Mr. Sis, seconded by Mr. Chambers to approve $41,878 to be transferred into the general purpose school budget. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Victor Peters. Steve Ritchie. Nancy Brown. Joel Street.
Because I'm employed at Carter County, I have a conflict of interest in public life and government, however, I declare the law and road extra on my conscience, my obligation to my constituents and citizens. This body represents
Richard Winters. Ronnie Crivitt. Mary Sis. Charles Montana. Steve Hester. Steve Ray. Tom Allen. Johnny Blankenship. Charlie Bailey.
I have no conflict of interest now, so I'm free to vote.
Have a discussion on that, Charlie.
Because I'm an employee of Carter County, I have a conflict of interest. The proposed Dr. Development, however, I declare that argument and my low answer only to my conscience and my obligation to the citizens my represents.
Ian Arden.
Having a conflict of interest being the employee of Carter County School System, I vote aye.
Steve Chambers.
Being employed with Carter County School System, I have a conflict of interest in the following.
John Lewis. Sonia Coler.
Because I'm employed of Carter County, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted. However, I declare that my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and to my obligation to my constituents and the citizens this body represents.
Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. Pat Hicks.
Because I'm an employee of Carter County, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted. However, I declare that my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and to my obligation to my constituents and the citizens this body represents.
Aye.
All ayes, motion carried.
Next item, general purpose school fund 141, budget amendment number 9. Two items, total of $18,149.87. No new money. I make a motion that we approve this transfer.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Sis, second by Ms. Blankenship to transfer $18,149.97 out of the general purpose school budget. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll. Ms. Blankenship.
Richard Peters. Steve Ritchie. Nancy Brown. Bill Street.
Because I'm employed at Carter County, I have conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted, however, required margin, I vote answer only my conscience and my obligation to my my constituents and the citizens this body represents. Aye.
Richard Winters.
Aye.
Ron Terry.
Aye.
Harry Seas.
Aye.
Ron Cannon.
Aye.
Elsie Testor. Steve Ray.
Aye.
Tom Allen.
Aye.
Joanne Blankenship.
Aye.
Charlie Davis.
Aye.
Dickie Redrow.
Because I'm employed in Carter County, I have a conflict of interest and proposal not to be voted. However, I declare that Margaret and my vote answer to my conscience and to my obligations to my constituents and the citizens of this body represents. Aye.
Steve Chambers. Ken Arden.
Being an employee of the Carter County School System, having conflict of interest, I vote aye.
Steve Chambers.
Being employed at Carter County School, I have a conflict of interest, but I vote for my best interest of my constituents, I vote aye.
John Lewis.
Aye.
Sonia Carter.
Because I'm employed of Carter County, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted. However, I declare that my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and to my obligations to my constituents and the citizens this body represents. Aye.
Russell Cott.
Aye.
Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong. Chad Hicks.
Because I'm an employee of Carter County, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted. However, I declare my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and to my obligation to my constituents and the citizens this body represents. Aye.
Aye.
All ayes, motion carried.
Next item, Federal Projects Fund 142, budget amendment number 3, $820, transfer, no new money. It's already in the budget. Make a motion that we approve.
Second. Motion by Mr. Sis, second by Mr. Renfro to approve $820 transferred from federal projects amendment. Any discussion?
That was money that had to be given back because there was kids that transferred, right?
Right.
Okay. They was cut, right?
Two.
Yes, it's my understanding there's two students that went to private school years ago.
Any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Richard Peters. Nancy Brown. Joel Street.
Because I'm employed at Carter County, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted. However, I declare the argument proposal answer only to my conscience and to my obligation to my constituents and the citizens this body represents. Aye.
Richard Winters.
Aye.
Ronnie Terry.
Aye.
Harry Seas.
Aye.
Charles Cannon.
Aye.
Elsie Testor.
Aye.
Steve Ray.
Aye.
Tom Allen.
Aye.
Joanne Blankenship.
Aye.
Charlie Davis.
Aye.
Dickie Redrow.
Because I'm employed in Carter County, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal not to be voted. However, I declare that Margaret and my vote answer only to my conscience and to my obligation to my constituents. Aye.
Ken Arden.
Being an employee of the Carter County School System, having conflict of interest, I vote aye.
Steve Chambers.
Employed at Carter County, have conflict of interest, that the project that to be voted down to our best of my constituents in this body, I vote aye.
John Lewis.
Aye.
Sonia Carter.
Because I'm employed of Carter County, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted. However, I declare that my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and to my obligations to my constituents and the citizens this body represents. Aye.
Russell Cott.
Aye.
Scott Sands.
Aye.
Bill Armstrong.
Aye.
Chad Hicks.
Because I'm an employee of Carter County, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted. However, I declare that my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience, my obligation to my constituents and the citizens this body represents. I vote aye.
Ron Clark.
All ayes, motion carried.
Next item, Federal Projects Fund 142, amendment number 4, $53,156. No new money, nothing coming out of the balance. I make a motion to approve this transfer.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Sis, second by Mr. Hicks, to approve,
transfer funds out of 142 federal projects in the amount of $53,156. Any discussion? Seeing none, call roll.
Steve Chambers.
Aye.
Steve Ritchie. Nancy Brown. Joel Street.
Because I'm employed with Carter County and conflict of interest and opposed and adopted the vote. However, I require my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and to my obligation to my constituents and the citizens this body represents. Aye.
Richard Winters. Aye. Ronnie Crivitt.
I'm gonna vote no this time.
Harry Seas.
Aye.
Ron Montana.
Aye.
Elsie Testor. Steve Ray.
Aye.
Tom Allen.
Aye.
Joanne Blankenship.
Aye.
Ronnie Davis.
Aye.
Steve Renfro.
Because I'm an employee of Carter County, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted. However, I declare that my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and my obligation to my constituents and the citizens this body represents. Aye.
Ken Arden.
Being an employee of the Carter County School System, have a conflict of interest, I vote aye.
Steve Chambers.
Being employed in Carter County, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted. I felt best for my constituents and body is represented. Aye.
John Lewis.
Aye.
Tony Coe.
Because I'm an employee of Carter County, I have conflicts of interest in the proposal about to be voted. However, I declare that an argument and my vote answer only to my conscience and to my obligations to my constituents and the citizens this body represents. Aye.
Russell Cott.
Aye.
Scott Sands.
Aye.
Steve Armstrong.
Aye.
Pat Hicks.
Because I'm an employee of Carter County, I have a conflict of interest in the proposal about to be voted. However, I declare that my argument and my vote answer only to my conscience, my obligation to my constituents and citizens this body represents. I vote aye.
Paul.
22 ayes, motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Sears. That was a marathon report. Appreciate you. Financial Management Committee.
I'd like to ask, since we have the microphones, that at our next meeting, that we give our reports from our seat using the microphones, if that's all right with this commission. On the second page of your February financial management, we approved a policy change. We did not have a policy that covered the part-time employees, and the policy reads, since the general county payroll system is not live, the following will be required of county employees. Part-time employees must first submit a completed, approved timesheet to payroll prior to processing. Full-time or salaried employees must submit a completed, approved timesheet upon obtaining a payroll document on said pay day. And I'd like to put that in the form of a motion that you approve that policy change.
I have a motion by Ms. Blankenship, seconded by Mr. Lewis, to approve this policy change for part-time employees. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Hubert Hill.
Aye.
Steve Ritchie.
Aye.
Nancy Brown. Joel Street. Richard Winters. Ronnie Crivitt.
Aye.
Harry Seas. Charles Montana.
Aye.
Elsie Testor.
Aye.
Steve Ray.
Aye.
Tom Allen.
Aye.
Joanne Blankenship.
Aye.
Charlie Davis.
Aye.
Steve Renfro.
Aye.
Ken Arden.
Aye.
Steve Chambers. Tom Lewis.
Aye.
Sonny Crow. Russell Cott. Scott Sands. Bill Armstrong.
Aye.
Pat Hicks.
Aye.
Robert Goff.
Robert Goff.
Aye.
All ayes, motion carried.
Moving on to the March 7th Financial Management Meeting. On the first page, we approved change to our travel policy for the county to read per diem rates for meals and incidentals for Carter County shall be equal to the reimbursement guidelines used by the state of Tennessee and/or the U.S. General Services. And the reason for this change is for the Sheriff's Department. We had it for the state of Tennessee, but the U.S. General Services is just a little bit different. So the federal reimbursement is a little different than the state. So this will give them the per diem according to both the state and the federal guidelines. And I put that in the form of a motion.
That's what they give them. Yes, remember? No, okay.
Do I have a second? Second. Motion by Mr. Blankenship, second by Mr. Curry to approve this change to the travel policy. Do we have any discussion? Question on the motion? All in favor of this change, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All ayes, motion carried.
Okay, we did have a motion, and as you can tell on the second page, to like the payroll, but we have come up with a problem with this. We hope to have it resolved, but it will not be resolved in time to take effect April the 13th, I don't think. But if it is, we'll let you know. So what we're going to look at is lighting the payroll. I'll let Ingrid describe that to you.
Currently, the county employees are paid through the date that they're paid. If we get paid on a Friday, we're paid at the end of that day. What is being looked at is lagging that payroll 1 week. That would allow all employees to have their timesheets completed and turned in before we actually process payroll. And that would be done through a 5 payroll cycle. In order to get that 1 week, we would delay the payment 1 day. So instead of getting paid on Friday, you would get paid the Monday following that. The next time you get paid Tuesday, and so forth until you get your week's pay.
And there's been some changes in the finance department, and I'd like for Ingrid to tell you all about the changes that are occurring in the finance department at this time.
I received a resignation notice from Dana Coleman, our payroll coordinator. She will be leaving the end of this month. Jacqueline Lewis, who is our current purchase order clerk, is now going to be the payroll coordinator for my department. She is currently training with them before Dana leaves. Krista Bird, my deputy director, is doing purchase orders, so any department heads are going to be most sent out. Those go to Krista Bird now in order to get that completed. We will keep that position open as a purchase order clerk until we find out something about our new financial management system. Once we find out about that, we'll be able to fill that position more adequately.
Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Blankenship. Highway Committee. Okay. Take one. The Highway Committee meeting Monday, which brought to our attention down here at the foot of right as the hill, turn right where the old rock quarry used to be. The Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, they put a boat ramp in down there. And because we own the little road that goes in there to it, there has been a lot of littering and trash and so on and so forth. And the Highway Committee asked me at Monday's meeting to ask the County Commission to have Mr. Bowers draw up some kind of a letter and send it to Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency and see if they would give us a little bit of money on helping to get that cleaned up down there and keep it cleaned up. The prisoners have been wanted a little bit, but it is creating a problem. Mr. Fontana said there's at least 100, 150 people that come down there and use that every day. And we've got these people that brings the boats in and puts them in the water and it floats down the river and the bus takes through there and everything. So we did that. I'd like to put it in form of motion that we ask Mr. Byers to try to get us some money from the state. Motion by Mr. Ritchie, second by Mr. Lewis to ask the county attorney to coordinate with the state officials, see if there's any way that they could help us with the cleanup on the boat ramp.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
in reference to that, I have a question. We've got our winter grant approved. Do they not police that area too?
We do as we can. It's not a consistent thing.
I understand what you're talking about, do that. I don't know why they can't make it. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Landfill committee. No report. Well, in lieu of your report, let me say something, Mr. Street. I'd like to commend you and all the landfill committee personnel and Mr. Benny Lyons and the school board for their participation and support of these recycling projects that you're heavily involved in, and I want to thank you personally and on behalf of the commission and the citizens of this county for putting so much of your time, personal money, and as far as your gasoline running all over the county to try to get this accomplished. I also like to thank Dr. Ellis and the members of the school board for cooperating with us, and the sheriff's department for doing a great help in assisting us all. And I'd like to applaud you and all these people for their efforts. All right, Buildings and Grounds. Buildings and Grounds, any reports? Health and welfare. Any report?
No, no.
Thank you. Law enforcement committee. No report. Planning commission. Yes, sir.
First off, I'd like to say that the Planning Commission will meet next on the 27th at 3 o'clock, right here in the courtroom. You're all invited as usual. We didn't meet in February, but the January meeting, as you know, last commission meeting, we had came up about management of the animal shelter. And a letter was submitted by Mr. Church and Mr. Sheeler that they were going to give 60-day notice to turn that job over to someone else. And the Planning Commission met right after that and unanimous vote to honor that request. Now, the 60 days, as I said, was I think Friday. So I would like to ask this commission what direction do we want to go?
Mr. Mayor.
To expand upon that, the advisory board has met. We spent, not this past Saturday, but the previous Saturday, all day interviewing candidates for that position. We are, at this time, doing follow-up as far as other checks to the background of these individuals. It's our intent to have that in first part of this week. Once that's done, then we will make a decision very quickly as to who we feel would be the best person out of all of the candidates that we've interviewed. We've not wasted any time. There's been an advertising time frame that we had to deal with. There was an issue of the, especially being tax season like, we've got some accountants on that board, so we had to delay that interview process from like a Monday to a Saturday so that everybody could meet, and it went very well. We had 37, 38 resumes that were submitted, of which we interviewed 7 that day. We started at 9 o'clock, didn't finish about 3. So we're working on this as expeditiously as possible. And just as quick as we get all these backgrounds and everything finalized, then we will make a decision to bring someone on board. However, if this is one of those persons that already has employment, then by reasonable standards, we would have to give them a week to or so to make it right with their current employer. So hopefully within 30 days, we will have one identified and on paper.
I would also like to say that Mr. Church, Mr. Schuler both, and the employees over at the animal shelter have worked together over the last 60 days to make sure that everything is got done. We are still have an opening for a part-time animal control officer. That job has not been filled yet. And Mr. Schuler and Mr. Church, I believe, have both agreed that they will do this till we get somebody out. Is that right, guys? Sure. I thank you for your cooperation. Yes, ma'am.
I would like for the general public to know that where they need to call. I've had so many complaints from my district of people calling the animal shelter, and they're telling them that we don't have an animal control person in the county, and they can do whatever they want to with the animal that's been let out in their subdivision. So we need the public to know, you know, what we're operating under right now.
Well, Ms. Blankenship, as I see it right now, this is still under control of the plan. And let me say this, this is something I learned. We're the only planning commission in the state that has animal control under it.
But they had no problem with that, but when they called the animal shelter, they said they were stopped to so rude, and if they wouldn't make any donations to the Carter County Animal
Well,
Shelter.
let me state this right now. As of right now, and it's up till Friday, the animal control was still under the operation of the plan. Nothing had changed there. Mr. Schuler and Mr. Church has handled that. Like I said, but if there's any calls going to the animal shelter, you know, that's I don't know where they got, but that is still under the control of the planning commission until this commission directs us otherwise. That's the way to be.
Well, that's why I told them, I gave them that number to call, and I said, if you would please put that in the neighborhood watch information, so that people in that area would know who to call.
And
I don't know how else to get the public to know.
And I have informed my people that have called me, I've informed them the same, that the planning office is still handling those calls.
Mr. Schuler, would you like to address?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Right now, we're teaming with the Carter County Humane Society, and they're assisting us in picking up a lot of these strays and abused animals at this time in this relationship. The rudeness from the animal shelter that was attempted to be alleviated several months ago, and that was not an option at that time. But you have to remember too, you had a lot of volunteers down there. So.
Yeah, that's what I informed them, that,
yes,
you know.
If they can call the 542-1834 number, we'll make sure that's taken care of.
I told them, you know, that staff, you know, it might not be a staff member, it may be a volunteer.
Yes,
that
ma'am.
just happened to answer the phone.
Well, I would like to make it crystal clear to any citizen that calls over there and is talked to in a rude or disrespectful manner, that they call and report that. And I don't think this body, I don't think this county wants to tolerate that type of behavior from employees or even volunteers.
Exactly.
Yeah, just along those lines, you know, ultimately, I don't think that the animal control should be in or under the scope of the planning. It should have never been there. Neither should the director. But it happened. It happened several years ago. We're working diligently to try to resolve this issue, and just as quick as we get the right director in place, I think that animal control officer needs to report to that director or to some other entity, and that will be up to the advisory board to take care of that, and we may have to bring the legislation before this body in order to correct those issues. And we'll be working with Attorney Bowers in that matter.
Is there any other committees that I've overlooked that would like to have anything to report? Yes, Mark Grant, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
You have in your packet a financial summary of the Park and Rec, and we're working on changing, reorganizing a little bit, and changing some of the things to the whole county will be represented. That should be next month, maybe. So we're working on that right now, but you have a financial section in your packet. Most of everything was raised by the Park and Rec through ball games and different things that they put on.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I don't really have anything from education report, but we are having a meeting tonight at 7 p.m. at Unaka High School. We've been working for several months now on the long-range school planning. We're trying to set the course for the future and talk about building schools, where we want to go with education. We are meeting tonight at 7 o'clock at Unaka High School. I encourage all commissioners if possible to come. And also on the 29th, we'll be meeting at Range Elementary School. Our plans are coming together pretty good, and we'll be making some announcements probably this summer. You're already invited.
Thank you. I don't think we have anybody here from the city to do this, but we have letters in your packet from to Ronnie Taylor, tax assessor, from Jerome Kitchen, director of finance for the city of Elizabeth, and in reference to the equalization board appointment that the city appoints one member to that board, and it says the city, Elizabeth City Council Mountain Director Station, Thursday, March 8th, 2012, to approve Pat Red Valley to fill the unexpired term of the city's representative as the city's representative on the equalization board. I have enclosed Mr. Bowers' application to the boards and the records. So we'd just like to recognize that Mr. Pat Red Bowers will be a member of the equalization board as the city's representative. I don't know much about him, but I've heard a lot about him. Is there any other board or committee report? I don't have a county attorney.
Several contract reviews this month, one for landfill, some for sheriff's department, various departments. A lot of work finalizing the jail project, which released the documentation this side of being great for the chief and sheriff, so their hard work as a part of the unit. Glad to have that agreement wrapped up today, and the mayor and I'll take care of executing that this week and get up to see. Had a couple of issues come up through highway department this month. One was working on some reasons for potential bridge project. One was the state bridge closure, which we actually, Jack Perkins' office negotiated and worked out the terms for the repairs so the bridge could stay open and really help some citizens in a mountainous area of the county. And it was just really Johnny on the spot. I was glad to help him with that. It came and gone so fast you have to hear about it, which is exactly how things should work. Jamie did a wonderful job. Did get a request from Parks and Rec to start working on some legislation for the county commission to consider as far as changing how our Parks and Rec committee works and making it a little more applicable to work better for Carter County. Did complete the correspondence to the agricultural office concerning the closure of our office. I volunteered to do last month. Sent that to many people at the federal government. I could find it be applicable in that situation. And we took care of those and then billed the county for that. Got the landfill contract. There was a landfill contract for brush disposal that's been reviewed and redrafted and advanced to Benny. Mr. Lyons has evidently got a few changes, he's get back to me as soon as I get those back, we'll wrap that up and have that contract in place for the county as well. I'll be frank with you, I could give you an hour report on what I've done this month. In the last 60 days, he said I've been so busy, but I'm just trying to get some highlights. I think most of those things I worked on, you saw today already, through either resolutions, contract reviews. One thing I would like to bring your attention for potential vote today, if the commission would consider it. We received a federal subpoena, the mayor's office did advance to me, requesting documentation as far as county roads, county right-of-ways, and things of that nature. This is for the rails to trails litigations, it's a nationwide project. We complied with that subpoena, advanced all information to the attorney, Midwest. I don't know if I would actually complied with that. I actually sent a follow-up correspondence just the other day confirming that all documentation needed from the county was received. We did receive a notice, however, that the county could become a member of the class action potentially for railways or railway right-of-ways that lie across county property. This is like the other class actions we filed in the past. I don't see there's a lot of money in there for the county, but I'd sure like to have us join into the class action if at all possible in case there is a check for it for us. I've assisted several private clients to join this class action and then receive a notice from the county may be effective as well. It's something I believe Mr. Lowe and potentially county planner's office to help us start identifying specific tracks. But I do think it's worth joining in class action, which we receive notice on. If we don't join in, then we essentially waive our rights. Pursue litigation ourselves, which we also don't want to do just because of the expense. This is one of those things, there's no money from us, it's just a matter of if there is a recovery, the county could potentially get a check. I think we got a couple $1,000s from one recently, it wasn't big, but it was saved at least, and hopefully we might be able to get another couple $1,000s on this one. That kind of makes it important. I just received a notice, we've got some time left, we have to respond by, go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I just have a question on that. How would that impact the trail itself with us being filed as part of that class action lawsuit? I know being a county entity, we stand to really gain from the trail if and when it's developed. So would that not deter progress on that particular trail?
This litigation going forward with this county member or not, I certainly see it.
You see what I'm saying? I mean,
valid point, no question. Litigation going forward whether we're a member or not, it's just something I can feel like we can't take a chance on this another check. If it's something we'd rather not do, I certainly see your point politically as well.
Well, from a county standpoint, I don't personally, and that's just one, you'll have to take that stance. I don't see the need.
We have the May 10th, the interim bid, I'll provide them a copy of it in your packets for the April meeting, let you consider it, and we'll have some time to look at it and make a full decision, if you'd like it that way. One thing I brought to Mr. Rich's attention from the Highway Committee, there was a vote to close an unopened road in Roan Mountain, which is before, I think is that the old Roan Mountain Hotel? Motel, and the Highway Committee voted unanimous, is that correct? And I think Mr. Ritchie probably want to present that if there's any questions, because I was not at that meeting, but it's something probably to address today.
Yeah, we got the Highway Committee voted to close that little road for Junior Street, you know, the real street's really deep off that, and to take a lot of pressure off on that water, burn everything, get the water out of the way. So we voted to close it, but you may want to bring it up for a full vote.
Yeah, you'll need the full commission's approval. I just know something I was looking through the minutes.
I'd like to put that in form of a motion.
State that a little bit more clearly what we're going to do.
There was a little road that runs down from the old Roan Mountain Motel that's been blocked off for years and it's creating a water problem. Jimmy Street bought the old Roan Mountain Motel, and he came before the Highway Committee wanting to close that little strip of road so he could fill that on and get the water on out to the main ditch on the side of the highway where the state on. And we had a little problem out that Roan Mountain Pharmacy too, just to get it out there. And so the Highway Committee, we did vote in the highway to close that piece of road for him, so I'd like to put that vote.
I'll say, Mr. Chairman, does there have to be a public
Yes, on road closure.
Yep.
It just got, and the only reason I bring it up, it wasn't part of attorney's comments, but I noticed it got missed in the highway. I want you to leave without considering it, since it was unanimous vote.
Well, would it be appropriate to set a time for a public hearing on this before we vote on it? Would that be the appropriate way to do it or not?
It has to be given so many days notice before it comes before this legislative
For the
body.
commission,
Okay, so we need to run an ad in the paper advertising that we're going to close, what's the name of the road?
Doesn't have names.
It's just an unnamed road. It's an unnamed road, this is.
Okay.
Right.
you could actually have a public hearing before the next highway committee meeting.
We could do
During
it.
the highway.
We could do it during the highway committee. Do it the next meeting.
Do it at the next highway committee meeting? So you make a motion that we have a public hearing on this at the
Yeah,
next
have it
highway.
published in the paper, whatever, and we'll bring it right up again.
Very good. Do we have a second on that?
That's it.
Mr. Second. And Mr. Any discussions, Mayor?
Another matter, so go ahead and take care of that.
Okay. All in favor of having this public hearing at our next highway committee meeting, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Yeah, I have a question for the county attorney. Back in November, actually November 9th, county attorney and I met with Ms. Jan Peters in reference to some concerns of hers, issues with the property at 100 Courthouse Square. During that, she was to submit a demand letter. She has since done that, and that was done back in January, on January the 9th. And during that, she had asked for a meeting with yourself and other county officials, sit down and discuss this matter. Has there been anything scheduled or anything along those lines to date?
When I received the man letter was $800,000 or $1 million?
Actually, it's $750,000. I think you advised this body in January that you had received the letter and if there would be some action taken. And I haven't heard anything to date, and I would just want an update from myself
I
and the
don't have to
commission.
file with it, but I would venture to say within 48 hours, maybe 24, when I received the letter, I advanced it to our insurance carrier, because it's a demand for money.
Okay.
And new demand for money, we advanced it to carrier. I think I advanced it to John Thomas in Ms. Ingrid's office, and I think he advanced it on. I think the insurance carrier then issued a response.
Okay, could you get us a copy of that, because I haven't seen that, and in that
I
letter.
don't have a copy of the response from the insurance
Okay.
carrier. I'll be glad, I'll ask them, they'll send me one.
Okay, because at this point, I do know in the letter it did ask for a meeting, and what you're saying is you've started over to the county insurance carrier to represent the county in that matter. Is that correct?
Yeah, if there's a request for money, I would do it and potentially void our coverage. So I advanced it around the carrier. The carrier, since last time, I had a conflict that was quite simple because Ms. Peter's son is the commissioner. I represent him every day as well as the commissioner, so I can't.
Okay,
It
so.
forces me to defend, represent one side and then prosecute against the other.
Well, I understand, but at the same time, the matter doesn't need to be laying out there forever, because this thing's been going on for ages.
With all due respect, it didn't lie forever, it didn't lie for one day. It may have been 48 hours, I won't promise you it didn't. I advanced immediately to the insurance carrier.
Okay.
But
Well, I'm not speaking specifically about that. It's an old issue, and this commission did take action over a year ago, and they solved one portion of that, but they haven't completed the issue at this point in time. As far as getting clear title, the county did that, and there's some question about that. So I would just like to know where we're at. If you can get us a copy of that letter.
I'll be glad to get something.
Okay.
Whatever the carrier said, I felt answer me, I'll be glad to answer.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Lewis, I got a question for the lawyer. How many days would the insurance company got would you notify them that there is no something? How many days?
I don't know if the insurance carrier actually has an obligation to give us any kind of notification unless you request it. I mean, if the suit's not been filed, they may do a response to the person who sent the demand letter. If the suit's been filed, and the Government Affordability Act, they have so many days to file a response on behalf of the county. They don't typically respond back unless I request a response back to the county directly.
Well, now, since we are the one that pays the insurance company, pays the insurance, I think they ought to give us some money, thank you, guys.
I'll be glad to ask for a copy of whatever they say on that, but they're not under, they're not under any kind of contractual obligation. And we pay them under a contract. And the contract doesn't make any provision for them to make an automatic response back to us on that.
Well, usually when you pay interest companies, they all give you payee, and I think you don't have a response that long.
Just be mindful though that this isn't a general class case, this isn't your car insurance. If the contract is entered into with the carrier, that's what we go by. And if there's no provision back on that or something, I'm sure they'll send some copy letter they sent, I'll advance it to mayor, advance it to chairman, they can get the packet.
Any other questions for the county attorney? Mr. Carter?
Why is the county involved in this to start with? Because it was bought from a private individual. Why is the county involved in it?
Well, at one point, the county entity was named as a defendant in the case, but that case has long since been dismissed. I'll get a response from the carrier or whatever. Truthfully, it's not even open to my office, so I will call the carrier and response and answer everybody.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to answer Mr. Arnie's question if I could.
Go right ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, December 2010, I thought we clarified that because in 1988, when the Buildings and Grounds failed to take action on the new survey that had just occurred, they had an opportunity to correct this situation immediately in 02, 03, right after the purchase. Did not take that stance, but this body did correct that issue in 2010, 7, 8 years later. But in the interim, that property owner did not have full use of the rights of that property. It was landlocked. And when we did the right thing in 2010, but what about the 7, 8, 10 years of frustration and time that that person had to go through and not having the full use of that property? And many of you were well aware of that, and I think at one point you took position supporting Ms. Peters in that.
Has the city become part of this lawsuit? Because I know there were issues about the city denying them a curb cut and entrance and stuff, so are they a party too?
Well, the reason they were denied the curb cut, they were issued a deed that had 36 inches out here on the front and not the 75 feet that they had purchased. So, you know, there's a lot of details that we can go through here, but this could have been corrected in 02, 03, right after that purchase by this body, had they taken the same action we did in 010. It didn't happen. So there is some liability there.
I would be real cautious to say there's liability. The county files the kind of matter. I think that's almost as out of line as anything you've ever said. I don't think it's controversial. You are the county. You're not Ms. Peters' law.
That's absolutely correct. And I'm representing everybody in this county, and I made a commitment. I took an oath standing right there to represent everybody in this county to make certain it was fair.
So you just got done saying no liability for the county, and no court's ever determined that.
I'll make a motion, Jerry.
Second.
Let's get I'm afraid, unfortunately, that's out of order. We have public comments to go through. So, I'm back up. At this time, as much as I'd like to honor that, is there any public comments? Anybody like to speak for?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
As I'm sure you're aware, the situation with the trailer in my neighborhood has gone on now for 12 months, and I was just wondering that.
State your name and address for the record, please.
I beg your pardon. Scott Snell, for those of you who don't know me. My address is Arlington Drive, Carter County.
Thank you.
My apologies. If Attorney Bauer could please tell me what is the current status for the removal of the illegal trailer in my neighborhood?
The county did not issue a permit.
Yes, sir.
This is just almost exhausting to do this every month, but I get the same answers to the same questions. We did not issue a permit the first time. We haven't issued a permit yet. It'll be here before planning. I think, did you set up, Mr. Schuler?
Next Tuesday, yes, sir.
Okay. Is it next Tuesday?
Yes, sir, 3 o'clock.
And this attorney for the other side, I was going to ask you if you notified everybody the other day.
Everybody, I'll double check on the attorney, haven't read those.
I think I gave an indication 5 months ago, maybe 8 months, but not to issue a permit. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Has that permit ever issued by the county?
Never been issued, sir.
I mean, I don't know what else we can do. We never issued a permit.
I know, sir. And several months ago, you were telling me repeatedly as well that nothing could be done until a hearing had been completed in which, during which Mr. Stoltzfus was suing the county. And you've told me that on numerous occasions as well. Unfortunately, my research in the clerk's offices over here have indicated that no such motion, or no such legal action was ever taken, and no papers were ever filed where someone was suing the county by the name of Ernie Ernest or A. Ernest or Lord Properties LLC.
Once again, I've never said. I simply said that Mr. Stoltzfus could file suit if he so chose. I never said he sued us in the first place.
Well, we can double check the, we can double check that, but so it shall be unlawful for any person to place a mobile home on a lot unless a permit is obtained. Those who willfully neglect or refuse to comply shall be fined not less than $2 to $50 each day. All right. Well, I thank you very much. I've been wondering what had become of that, and so have my neighbors apparently. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Snell. Are there any other public comments? Does anybody wish to address the commission? Seeing none, we will close public comments and enter into commissioner comments. And I will take the prerogative here, Mr. Lewis, to speak first. Before everybody leaves, and it will be published in the paper, as was previously stated by the mayor, our next month's meeting in April was scheduled for the 16th day of April. That'll be Monday as always, the third Monday of the month. But due to the remodeling and refurbishing, carpet laying, seat replacing, whatever going on that has to be done that night, we will meet at 9:00 a.m. that morning.
16?
On the 16th, yes. Instead of, it's scheduled for a night meeting, but due to this remodeling, it will be rescheduled for 9 a.m. that morning.
I got one comment. We have got a good website for the county on this computer thing. And last month, our meeting was postponed or done away with. And I don't think all of it got posted on the, call in to be posted on the website. Now, I think if you want to postpone some of these meetings, you need to call the right party, call the mayor's office and tell them that these meetings is getting postponed. And you put it on the website for people to know what's going on. And also these committee meetings, we have one of them. And the committee meeting can all be put on the website at least the next day where people can, the county, want to go on the website, see what's going on in this county, because they have the opportunity to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Are there any other commissioner comments? Motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Mr.